Yi Mo had seen these two girls before. One of them was the woman whose arm Yi Mo had cut off after he had just left the desert. That woman had come with her master to the auction last time. Her hand had been reconnected with the rest of the body. Yi Mo had seen these two girls before. One of them was the woman whose arm Yi Mo had cut off after he had just left the desert. That woman had come with her master to the auction last time. Her hand had been reconnected with the rest of the body. Her master was a beautiful nun, and her name was Zisu. He didn't expect her to come to the tournament. She was already at the yellow level tertiary stage. Yi Mo's opinion was that she good at using flying daggers. Yi Mo had seen the other girl not long ago. She was the cold woman he had seen when he went to the military base in Xiangyun. She didn't seem to have good intentions towards him. Yi Mo didn't know how she was called, but both of those girls had some kind of enmity with him. In the second round, Han Yan also defeated a yellow level peak stage warrior easily, and then came back to the 36 Rivers region to watch the tournament. Zisu's opponent was at the yellow level middle stage, which was the lowest power level in the tournament. The girl didn't use her flying daggers. She just used a long sword to defeat her opponent, and easily won that round. The cold woman also easily beat her opponent, but Yi Mo felt that after she finished, she gave him a cold-eyed stare. Yi Mo rested his thumb and index finger on his chin, while thinking, "I've never met you before. Why do you have such prejudice about me?" The afternoon round took longer than the morning round. When the 80 people had been decided, it was already 6 p.m. The next round could only take place the next day. There wouldn't be anyone staying at the Broken Top Mountain overnight, so everyone went back to their hotels. When Yi Mo got invited by Wang Xia to the rooftop for dinner, he found that there were already a lot of people waiting for him. It could be said that almost every representative of the sex staying at the hotel came to greet him. Han Yan didn't know that Yi Mo had killed Wang Lenchan, so she was frightened by many people. Yi Mo had no intention of getting close to any of these people, so he dealt with them simply, and afterwards he let them leave. After Yi Mo sent them away, he left Han Yan, who was practicing the second sword movement, and he went back to the Broken Top Mountain again. This time, he went there on the flying sword. As soon as Yi Mo landed, he saw two men sneakily move around. He was already at the foot of the mountain. Yi Mo was dazed. Everyone knew that the place was haunted. Why would they come there in the middle of the night? It took Yi Mo just a moment of hesitation before he found out that there was actually another person behind those two. Soon, Yi Mo knew that those two had no cultivation, and what they carried were tools for raiding tombs. Yi Mo shook his head. Those two tomb raiders didn't want to live. But when Yi Mo saw the person behind them, he was even more shocked. It was that cold woman. What was she doing there at that time, following two tomb raiders who had never cultivated before? Yi Mo went near them in invisibility mode and watched the two tomb raiders as they carefully stepped into the depth of the mountain. Yi Mo was very confused. Since they were used to raiding tombs, they shouldn't have chosen these days. It was the hidden sex tournament. There were a lot of people. Arya, why do I feel that this place is colder and eerier than other places? I don't feel comfortable. There won't be any problems, right? The shorter man shivered and said. The man called Arya was slightly taller and seemed a lot more astute than the shorter man. He replied quietly, "Gang Hu, we can only do it these days. The Broken Top Mountain is no ordinary place. Do you think we're the only ones who know about this place? I'm sure others do, but why don't they dare come? It's because the yin qi here is too strong. These last days, the government seems to be running some event at the top, so there are a lot of people. You saw during the day as well, there were about 10,000 people at the top. With that many people, the yen qi must be intense, and it's thinning down the yin qi. This is our best shot. After this, there won't be anyone coming here again. After the yin qi will gathers, we won't have any chances at all." Gang Hu nodded and said quietly, "If this really is Yuan Tiangong's descendant's tomb, then perhaps we can change our business to feng shui after this." Yi Mo couldn't help but agree with Arya's logic, yet they didn't know that the Yin Chi there wasn't natural. It was someone's doing. Once Yi Mo heard about Yuan Tiangong's descendants, he started to get interested. Yuan Tiangong was a fortune teller and a feng shui master. Perhaps there would be something useful to Yi Mo there. So naturally, Yi Mo followed the three of them Arya, and the others kept walking for nearly an hour. When Arya reached a slope, he took out a measuring device and looked around for a long time before stopping at a spot. Is it here? Gang who saw this and asked. It should be here. Arya put down his bag and took out a Luoyang spade. He assembled it in a few seconds. Arya, I feel scared. This time something doesn't feel right, Gang who tucked in his neck and said worriedly. Arya cursed. Useless. It's not the first time we're doing this. If this really is his tomb, then this will be our last job. You must remember not to fear in moments like these. Only then can your yang qi stay intense. And I'm sure we won't be able to finish making the raid hole today. We will need at least 3 days. The two spoke as they dug. Yi Mo had to commend them. They had no cultivation, yet they still dug very fast. They cooperated very well together. Yi Mo noticed that the cold woman was hiding on the side, but she wasn't going up. He didn't know what she was thinking. Perhaps she wanted to earn money out of those two, or she was interested in the potential knowledge hidden in this tomb. An hour later, Arya crawled out and set up a pipe bomb. Then they ran away a bunch of meters from it. There was a low bang, and the pipe bomb actually blasted out an old raid hole. Someone had already been there long ago, but Yi Mo's spirit sense soon found that the hole hadn't been made all the way through. 2 bodies laid inside the raid hole. For some reason, those 2 had been trapped here. Arya and Gang who took the torch and ran inside. After a while, Arya yelled in joy. Huzi, we're lucky this time. There's an already dug raid hole, but it's not fully opened. We just need to dig a little more. 2 Qianbei died in here. Huzi, get me 2 black donkey hoofs, in case there are undead is inside. When the 2 men entered the tomb, the cold woman also followed them in. Yi Mo thought it strange that his spirit sense couldn't pierce through the tomb door. Yi Mo looked at the door and saw that it was sealed tightly shut. With his current spirit sense, he could penetrate 20 to 30 meters into dense earth. If the ground was made of sand, he could pierce through nearly 100 meters. This door was probably made from granite and was much thicker than the one at the Nine Moon Sect. Yi Mo also followed them in. When the 2 men entered the tomb, the cold woman also followed them in. Yi Mo thought it strange that his spirit sense couldn't pierce through the tomb door. Yi Mo looked at the door and saw that it was sealed tightly shut. With his current spirit sense, he could penetrate 20 to 30 meters into dense earth. If the ground was made of sand, he could pierce through nearly 100 meters. This door was probably made from granite and was much thicker than the one at the Nine Moon Sect. Yi Mo also followed them in. Arya and Gang, who were very agile. They quickly threw a chicken into the hole, and after a while, Arya nodded. It's fine, we can go in. Arya picked up a wind blower at the entrance of the hole and then brought the torch in together with Gang. When the 2 reached the 2 bodies, they bowed and said, 2 Qianbei, we're forced to make a living, so we need to borrow Qianbei's raid hole. After us Wanbei come out, we will bury the 2 of you. Gang, who also bowed before asking, we're not going to use the hooves? Arya shook his head and said, no need. Yi Mo noticed how that woman wasn't scared at all and just stared at the 2 men in the front, unwilling to fall behind even 1 step. The 2 just lightly dug a bit before the thin layer of earth was removed, showing a green door. Arya then dug a small hole on the door and put in another pipe bomb before sealing it. Although Yi Mo knew that the tomb raiders had their ways of blowing the door, which wouldn't cause the earth to collapse, Yi Mo still retreated far away. If this place did collapse, it would cause him a lot of effort to get out. He didn't want to be buried under the earth. Luckily, Arya's skills were good, so a bang later a big hole was blasted into the door. Arya then carried the air blower and threw the chicken inside. After a while, Arya saw that the chicken was fine and turned off the blower as he carefully went in with Gang, who, that cold woman had arrived at the door at this moment, but she didn't go in and just watched Arya carefully. Yi Mo sent his spirit sense in and discovered that this was more like a stone room rather than a tomb. In the middle was a coffin, and a black crescent-shaped thing was carved into the wall. Arya scanned the room and appeared to be disappointed. He didn't seem to have found what he'd expected. "Pussy, light up a candle at the southeast corner and then come help me," Arya said before he pulled out a black donkey hoof and walked closer to the coffin. He put his finger on the lid and knocked on it, trying to confirm what material it was made of. At this moment, Gang, who just finished lighting up the candle before also coming over, "Arya, I feel like there's less yin chi inside of here than on the outside. Stop saying useless things and come help," Arya said casually. Although Yi Mo didn't go in himself, his spirit sense managed to scan an old man in his 50s rotten body. The old man had worn very expensive clothes. Even after this many years, there were still some gold strands lying around. A yin-yang fish artifact was laid by the old man's feet. Other than this, the old man had 2 jade ornaments on him. What caught Yi Mo's attention, though, was a jade slip. Gang, who used a prick and crowbar to leverage the lid, as Arya took care of lighting with his torch when Yi Mo suddenly clearly saw the old person's hand move. Gang, who didn't notice at all, however. The only things he had eye for were the 2 jade ornaments and a few porcelain plates. Clearly Gang, whose self-control was worse than Arya's, and he immediately yelled, "Arya, there's blue flower porcelain and jade ornaments. It's a meat zombie dash, meat zombie, your mom." Arya's face looked bad, and he stuffed the black donkey hoof in the old person's mouth without hesitating. Yi Mo's spirit sense picked up that the hand immediately stopped moving after the black donkey hoof was put there. Yi Mo felt like this was quite intriguing. Arya seemed to breathe easy a little. "Huzi, pack our stuff and leave quickly. This isn't a good place." Yi Mo saw an ethereal figure rise from the coffin with his spirit sense. A ghost? Yi Mo didn't expect ghosts to be able to live here, but he knew that since the stone room was now opened, it would have no place to exist and would soon dissipate. What really astonished Yi Mo was that this ghost seemed to have awareness, because it flew next to the candle gang who had lit up. Then there was a light wind, and the candlelight began to waver. Just as Yi Mo's spirit sense was going to investigate what the ghost was planning on doing, his expression suddenly changed. A fierce, bleak wind swept in from the hole the two had dug with a feeling that was very familiar to Yi Mo. He immediately figured out that this had to be the bleak wind that attacked him last night. A ghost countless times stronger than the ethereal figure now manifested. And it seemed to contain way more hatred and dissatisfaction. Compared to this tomb, Yi Mo cared more about the thing that attacked him last night. He didn't waste a second before flying out of this hole and throwing a few fireballs at that ghost which had manifested. With a shriek, the ghost became a lot more hollow. It didn't seem to expect someone to be able to see and easily kill it. It immediately fell into the earth and started fleeing through the ground. A ghost that knew an earth movement technique. No wonder Yi Mo couldn't find traces of it the other night. But since he found it now, he wouldn't let it go. He threw another couple of fireballs. After giving out a weak cry, the ghost was gone. Before Yi Mo had time to check what it was, another fierce wind headed towards his head. Someone was trying to catch him by surprise, but Yi Mo didn't even have to use his flying sword, and just sent a punch out. Rumble, a person covered entirely in black robes, was knocked flying by Yi Mo's punch and smashed into a rock not far away before spitting out a mouthful of black blood. Yi Mo raised his hand, and the flying sword appeared in it, but he didn't continue his attack and just observed with his spirit sense. His attacker was an old woman, full of dead chi with nails that were an inch long. The weapon that she had attacked Yi Mo with was a black stick with a foul stench coming from it. Other people would think this old woman was a demon, but Yi Mo knew she was just a human. "Who are you? I wasn't messing with you at the Broken Top Mountain at all. So why did you kill my pet?" The old woman's voice was very lively yet distant. If one only heard her voice, one would think she was just a teenage girl. "Pet?" Yi Mo immediately asked coldly. "You're from the Nine Moon Sect too?" "I'm also from the Nine Moon Sect. I'm the only one in the Nine Moon Sect. That bitch took over my Nine Moon Sect just because she was a little stronger than me, but I will take it back one day." The woman tried to speak fiercely, but her lively voice didn't make her sound very domineering. Yi Mo was speechless. Why were all these ghost keepers of the Nine Moon Sect? From her words, she seemed to have lost a battle of power with the Nine Moon Sect's sect leader, and was now cowering here. Such a good Tao cultivation method had been degraded into a cultivation method for ghost keeping. Yi Mo really couldn't understand how. Looking at this old woman, Yi Mo said plainly, "You didn't mess with me? Do you dare say it wasn't your pet that attacked me last night?" The old woman was speechless. She did intend to kill Yi Mo yesterday because she felt that his soul was very strong, so it had to be very beneficial to her pet. She just didn't expect Yi Mo to be this strong, much stronger than any ancient martial arts cultivators she knew. The old woman was sure that if she went into the outside world, no one would be a match for her other than her martial sister. But now she had met Yi Mo and come to realize that there was still someone stronger. "It was my fault for attacking you yesterday, but you have also killed my pet. I hope this ends here, and we'll go our separate ways," the black-robed woman said after a long while. Her pet was half of her life. Without her pet, any Earth level middle stage could kill her, but she didn't dare to reason with Yi Mo. "It was my fault for attacking you yesterday, but you have also killed my pet. I hope this ends here, and we'll go our separate ways," the black-robed woman said after a long while. Her pet was half of her life. Without her pet, any Earth level middle stage could kill her, but she didn't dare to reason with Yi Mo. Although she hadn't dared to watch Yi Mo's fight with Wang Lenchon the day before, she had gone to check out the site after the fight. She believed that even a bunch of people with her powers together would be no match for Yi Mo. She couldn't understand how someone had gotten that strong at that age. Yi Mo sneered. "You ambush me trying to kill me, then you say it's your fault, and I should just let you go? Do you think I'm some sort of saint? Then what do you want to do? The code to ancient martial arts is to forgive when possible. I've already admitted defeat, and I have also admitted my wrong. Are you going to kill me? China is a country of morals and customs. Are you going to do some savage thing?" The woman shirked. Yi Mo smiled. "Yes, you're right. I am going to kill you. It's your misfortune for messing with me. You've killed quite a lot of people these years at the Ghost City, and your pet ate quite a lot of souls too. Don't kill me. I'll give you the Nine Moon Sect's cultivation method." Then the old woman took out a goatskin booklet. Yi Mo couldn't even be bothered to look at it. He had seen it once before. He didn't answer and just threw a few wind blades. She was at least Earth level middle stage. Seeing Yi Mo's wind blade, she didn't know what kind of projectile it was, but she used her stick to try and block it. However, there were too many, and she was cut into two. Yi Mo threw out a fireball and burned the woman to ashes before picking up the booklet. It was the Nine Moon Evergreen chant indeed. Yi Mo looked at it. It seemed to be much more complicated than the one he had seen last time. Yi Mo immediately realized that this was the second half of the cultivation method. The one he had seen last time was the first half. When he read the introduction, Yi Mo finally understood what had happened. The creator of the chant was indeed a woman. She had been taken to the Great Emotion Forgetting sect and cultivated the Great Emotion Forgetting chant. The woman found a man when she went out of the sect and fell in love. But cultivating the Great Emotion Forgetting chant meant that she couldn't have love. If she did, she needed to sever it. The woman was a very emotional person, and despite being the greatest genius of the sect of all times, she still went against her sect for the man she loved and left the sect. In order for her to come back to the sect sent masters to kill the man she loved. This angered the woman and publicly announced that the great emotion for getting chant wasn't even an ancient martial arts cultivation method, a cultivation method that couldn't attain long life even until the end was trash. Then she disappeared from people's sight. 20 years later, she started the Nine Moon sect at Sichuan's Qing Shao Mountain. She made her new cultivation method the Nine Moon Evergreen Chant and went back to annihilate the great emotion for getting sect. Thus, the Nine Moon sect was labeled as an evil sect. After closing the book, Yi Mo sighed. The woman was indeed an awe-inspiring woman. The reason that cultivation method had become evil was probably because the disciples didn't understand the meaning of the opening section and believed their sect was evil. Hence, the cultivation method must also be evil. Shaking his head, Yi Mo put away the cultivation method and went back into the tomb. When Yi Mo came in again, he realized that a lot had happened in such a short time. The cold woman had placed the yin-yang fish artifact on the door, and also had the jade slip in her pocket. The two tomb raiders' faces were purple and also laid next to the coffin. Yi Mo scanned them. It was obvious that they were dead. When Yi Mo's spirit sense went to the cold woman, he found a bleak qi surrounding her. Yi Mo immediately knew that she was invaded by the yin qi, but since she cultivated ancient martial arts and was yellow level peak, the bleak qi couldn't do much to her yet. Seeing the shocked expression on her face, she must have been scared by something before she fainted. Yi Mo shook his head. He didn't know that woman, but she seemed to dislike him. Yet, since he met her there, he might as well save her. Thinking about this, Yi Mo patted the woman's forehead, and the yin qi was forced out. It vanished due to Yi Mo's true fire. The paleness and fear on her face disappeared quickly. Yi Mo then noticed that the body had gotten out of the coffin and was at a corner of the tomb. A ghost rose from the body again and was about to swoop at Yi Mo. Yi Mo sneered. He threw a fireball at the ghost, which was burnt into nothing without resistance. The two jade ornaments were probably worth some money, but Yi Mo couldn't even be bothered to take them. His spirit sense scanned the black crescent-shaped thing on the wall. He took it down and found out that the black color was just a layer of skin around it. Yi Mo peeled it off and found inside an orange-yellow wood with a faint aroma. Spirit-nourishing wood? He didn't expect to be able to see such a good item in that tomb. Not only could it be used to concoct pills, but it could also be made into jewelry to strengthen one's soul. He immediately packed it with cloth and put it in his ring. The trip had been worthwhile, and because of this, Yi Mo was also in a good mood. He glanced at the cold woman. He walked up to her and carried her, saying, "I'm in a good mood today. Count yourself lucky. I'll take you out." Then, Yi Mo quickly climbed out of the tomb and buried the holes with his hands. Then he got on the flying sword and left. As soon as Yi Mo left, another ghost rose up from next to the grave, but it didn't stop. It went to the opposite direction Yi Mo took, and disappeared. If Yi Mo had seen it there, he would have realized that it was the second ghost the old lady owned. It had developed intelligence, since he knew that if it came out earlier, Yi Mo would have found it. Carrying the woman was troubling for Yi Mo. He didn't know where she lived, and he couldn't just dump her on the streets. But neither did he want to bring her to his place. Where should he leave her? Yi Mo searched her body to see if there were keys, and he soon found a key card. The woman was wearing thin long pants, which made Yi Mo feel her soft and bouncy skin. This fed some fire in Yi Mo's heart, but he wasn't thinking about the woman in his hands. He wanted to find Luo Ying quickly and sleep with her and Qingxue. Luo Ying, Qingxue. Yi Mo murmured with longing and then shook his head. Yi Emo looked at the card. It said Yuancheng Hotel, 303. A few minutes later, Yi Mo had brought the woman to her room and dumped her on the bed before returning to his place. Han Yan was already asleep when Yi Mo came. He took a shower and took a careful look at the spirit-nourishing wood. Yi Mo suddenly wondered about something strange. That wood was for cultivation. Why was it hanging on the wall of a tomb? And why was it wrapped so tightly? If the person knew its worth, why didn't he put it in the coffin? The next morning, Yi Mo ate breakfast with Han Yan, and Wang Xia drove them to the top of the Broken Top Mountain again. The next morning, Yi Mo ate breakfast with Han Yan, and Wang Xia drove them to the top of the Broken Top Mountain again. The mountain became crowded once again, and didn't at all seem eerie like last night anymore. When Yi Mo came to the mountain peak, he noticed that Cold Woman had also come. She was completely expressionless. It was as though she never went to raid tombs last night. After yesterday's tournament rounds, there was much more order today. Although a lot of people had already lost, most of them didn't leave, choosing to stay to watch the fights. Xiang Mingwang glanced at Yi Mo casually and walked up to the microphone. Distinguished guests and fellow comrades of the ancient martial arts world, this is the second day of our tournament. Although people were injured yesterday, the overall situation was great. So we will now let sect leader Feng explain the rules for today in high spirits. When Feng Wu walked past Yi Mo, he nodded politely. Zheng Jingxia came up to Yi Mo and whispered. Last night, Xiang Eming Wang and Vice Sect Leader Feng talked for the entire night. I think it might have something to do with you. You need to be careful after the tournament. They won't dare do anything during the tournament, but I think they might do something to the crystals. Yi Mo smiled and patted Zheng Jingxia's shoulder before comforting him. Brother Zheng, don't worry. If I can kill Wang Lenchan, I can kill Xiang Ming Wang. What I fear is him not trying anything. Zheng Jingxia touched his chin and smiled helplessly. No matter what, if you need help, just ask me for it, Brother Yi, Zheng Jingxia promised without hesitation. Yi Mo nodded. There were some things that were best left unsaid. Feng Wu walked up to the stage without a stern face like Xiang Mingwang's. He said casually, First, I would like to congratulate the top 80 contestants. The first 2 rounds for today will still be elimination, after which we will select the final 20 contestants. Ideally, we should finish the elimination by this morning, due to some sudden incidents. However, the reward for the top 30 has been changed to top 20 now. Before Feng Wu finished, the crowd went into an uproar. The reward being only for the top 30 was already very little, but now it was reduced to top 20? Zheng Jingxia frowned. Obviously, he didn't know about this. From this, it could be seen that the Gourd Cave and Jiuming Academy hadn't considered his opinion at all when making this decision. Feng Wu cupped his hands and said, in order to compensate everyone, we've decided that the final 20 will each get 100 million of prize money. Only then did the protests quieten down. Many small sects came here for the money, so they didn't care that much. Okay, the duels begin now. Feng Wu waved his hand. Although Yi Mo didn't know why there was this change, he knew it had to be related to Wang Lenchan's death. There were less and less people in the tournament, yet it was getting more and more exciting. Han Yan had good luck and had still only encountered yellow-level cultivators. What caught Yi Mo's attention was a young man who was at the peak of the yellow level. His opponent was at the black level middle stage. Other people had already fought 3 or 4 matches, but he was still fighting with that black level participator. Yi Mo noticed his inner chi was very dense and no lesser than Han Yan's. His sword technique was very intricate and had very little holes. Yi Mo thought that this young man's master had to be very strong. Everyone else noticed this fight as well. Zheng Jingxia said to Yi Mo, that black level middle stage kid is the 9th ranked seed Peng Nigui. He's from the gourd cave. The youngster facing him is really quite impressive, fighting a black level middle stage Peng Nigui for this long neck-to-neck, when he's only at the yellow level. Was he chosen as a seed recently? Yi Mo asked. Zheng Jingxia shook his head and said, no, they had already been approximately chosen before the tournament based on their power and performance. Gourd Cave has 3 seed spots, Jiuming Academy has 2, 36 River has 1, the Wang family had 1, and the remaining 3 are for small sections. But the selection isn't 100% accurate because the seeded juniors' prowess had never been judged in a fight yet, so it's all based on educated guessing. As they were talking, Yi Mo saw that young man put a pill in his mouth. Yi Mo immediately realized that the young man had been using inner chi recovery pills. There were clashes of weapons all the time, but Yi Mo noticed that the young man's sword wasn't damaged at all, while Peng Nigui's sword kept on getting more and more chipped. Peng Nigui seemed to feel very embarrassed about being forced into a corner like this by a yellow-level opponent. He had a cruel look on his face as he hacked towards the young man's head. That young man didn't dodge, instead hacking right back. Yi Mo smiled. He knew what the young man was thinking. The young man was using his advantage of a better weapon and probably wanted to break Peng Nigui's sword. With the remaining force, the sword would cut into Peng Nigui's shoulder. If that strike connected, Peng Nigui would lose an arm, if not his life. Such a cruel little punk. Many people noticed this, and Xiang Mingwang would have attacked the kid already if this weren't a tournament. Yi Mo sneered. Other people were cruel, but his sect disciples were using proper moves. Yi Mo knew that the real cruel one was Peng Nigui, and that young man's sword would only be taking an arm at most. Peng Nigui, on the other hand, clearly wanted his opponent to die. Clank, Peng Nigui's sword broke in half, and the young man's sword continued along its path. Yi Mo saw that the young man intentionally moved it to the side, not wanting to take Peng Nigui's arm. Seeing this, Yi Mo shook his head. This move was too awful. If Yi Mo was in his place, he wouldn't move the sword to the side, and even if he did, it would be towards the neck. Because of this, the young man would lose his life. As Yi Mo expected, Peng Nigui actually rejoiced after his sword broke. He used the remaining segment of his sword and threw it at the young man's heart. It was so fast that Yi Mo was sure the young man wouldn't be able to dodge it. The young man's face changed, and the sword in his hands wavered for a bit, but still struck down in the end. Slash, Peng Nigui's arm was cut off as blood gushed out. At the same time, Peng Nigui's broken sword stabbed into the young man's chest, but Yi Mo noticed that the sword didn't pierce it. Despite that, the young man did spit out blood, and his face was pale too. He was wobbling on the stage. Yi Mo wondered, does the young man have soft armor on him? This kid was quite wealthy. Peng Nigui saw that his arm had been cut off while his yellow-level adversary was fine. He was so angry that he couldn't speak. Such a cunning brat. Not only did you wear armor, but you even brought chi recovery pills? Who told you that you could use pills in the tournament? Did your master not teach you? This is a tournament, not a life and death duel. You've broken the rules many times over, and yet you attack with such cruelty. I'll cut off one of your arms and see if you still dare act this cocky. An old man at the judges' table stood up and yelled. Then he took out his long sword and walked to the stage. Judging from his clothes, one could tell he was from the gourd cave. Everyone was silent, not daring to say a thing. The youth clenched his teeth and didn't say anything either. I also want to see how much balls you old fart have to dare try cut off his arm. I'm waiting for you right here. If you have the balls, step on the stage, and I'll make you have no return, a lazy voice sounded. Zheng Jingxia looked at Yi Mo in shock. After a few days, he felt he knew Yi Mo. He was not a cocky person, especially if you didn't mess with him and didn't mind other people's business. But now he offended the gourd cave for a young man he didn't know. Zheng Jingxia looked at Yi Mo in shock. After a few days, he felt he knew Yemo. He was not a cocky person, especially if you didn't mess with him and didn't mind other people's business. But now, he offended the gourd cave for a young man he didn't know. Even if he was a judge and needed to be impartial, Yemo shouldn't have said it so arrogantly. But Zhengxia immediately realized that Yemo was doing it intentionally. He was provoking Xiang Mingwang to attack. Perhaps he intended to annihilate the gourd cave like he did with the Wang family. Zhengxia was shook because of these thoughts. Feng Wu's eyes glimmered, but he immediately looked down, as though he hadn't heard Yemo's words. Yemo sneered. Indeed, he did plan to kill Xiang Mingwang. If the gourd cave did anything, he wouldn't mind annihilating the entire sect. Yemo wasn't cocky enough to take on the entire hidden sects by himself, but he was sure that the gourd cave wouldn't have many helpers on this. They had been too unruly. Immediately, everyone looked at Yemo. No one had expected him to stand up and publicly slap Gourd Cave in the face. The judge who was going to cut off the young man's arm also stopped walking. He looked at Xiang Mingwang as though he was waiting for his order. The scene was silent. Even the fight in the other stage stopped. Many people there weren't from the hidden sects. They were big bosses from all over the world. Many of them didn't know Yemo, and they all wanted to see what sort of person had dared to do this to the Gourd Cave. Although the judge wasn't very just, everyone knew that justice was only established by power. The Gourd Cave's disciples could accidentally kill other contestants, but other people weren't allowed to hurt them. Xiang Mingwang's face was green. He suddenly stood up and said angrily, Yemo, you're a judge. It's obviously not fair that pills were used in the fight. Why are you stopping the judge? Xiang Mingwang, I'm a judge. How come I don't see a rule that says that pills must not be used? When you're fighting a life and death battle with your enemy, are you going to restrict them from eating pills? Yemo sneered. That middle-aged man who was behind Xiang Mingwang said something to him, and Xiang Mingwang sat down grumpily. The middle-aged man saluted with his fists, and then said, Brother Yi, I'm the external affairs elder of the Gourd Cave Yen Kai. It's not right to use pills. Even the international competitions nowadays forbid the use of performance-enhancing drugs. This little guy used one, so he did go against the rules. Then Yen Kai looked at Feng Wu, as though he was expecting him to say something, but Feng Wu didn't seem to notice him, and just kept staring at the paper in his hands. Yemo said lazily, That's true, indeed. But they clearly stated that those drugs were forbidden. How come I don't see that on the rules for this tournament? Secondly, there's a system of heavyweight and lightweight in international fights. How come I see a black level middle stage against a yellow level tertiary stage, young man? Thirdly, since when have judges been able to go on stage in international events and punish contestants? Although Yemo had said this, he was disappointed that Xiang Mingwang hadn't charged at him. He didn't have an excuse to kill that old fart. He couldn't just go attack him first. I'm a judge. Am I not allowed to punish a rule-breaking contestant? The judge said with a red face. He had lost all his face that day. Yemo stood up and smiled. Indeed, you've just reminded me. I'm the grand judge. I can deal with judges that go against the rules. Seeing Yemo stand up, Feng Wu immediately knew things weren't good. He stopped the Gourd Cave judge and said at once, Yemo is a grand judge, and you're a judge. Go back. Please, let this go on my account. Brother Yi. That elder knew what Yemo meant. Feng Wu had saved his life. He quickly ran away. Yemo sneered. This time on account of sect leader Feng, I'll let you go. You won't have this opportunity next time. Feng Wu knew that if Yemo hurt the Gourd Cave elder, then it would become a real feud. There was no benefit for him if they fought now. Okay, let's continue the tournament now. Everyone please don't deal heavy blows, and have mercy when possible, Feng Wu said. Seeing that Feng Wu wasn't helping him, Xiang Mingwang was even unhappier. The reason he hadn't stood up to fight Yemo was because he knew Wang Lenchan's power. Wang Lenchan, even still with the power he had been silently removed by Yi Mo, together with the entire Wang family group. Xiang Mingwan believed he was a little stronger than Wang Lenchan, but he didn't think he could kill Wang Lenchan silently without getting hurt at all. He hadn't come by himself that time. There were 5 core disciples there. They were the future of the Gourd Cave. One was even a genius amongst genius. If they were all killed by Yi Mo, that madman, he would be the sinner of Gourd Cave. He agreed to Yan Kai's words. Yi Mo needed to be killed, but not now. Marshal brother, we'll let that Yi Mo be cocky for now. There's still another round in the afternoon. I can let Lu Ran face Han Yen. With his power, he will kill Han Yen before she can react. This is a tournament. Even if Han Yen is killed, Yi Mo can't do anything about it, Yan Kai said. Xiang Mingwang nodded. Okay, we'll kill Han Yen first in the afternoon. As for Yi Mo himself, Yan Kai said ghastly, don't worry about Yi Mo. We'll talk when we get back. I have a way to make him die and get all of his fortune. Everybody at the scene was shook. Yi Mo had dared to come out and provoke the Gourd Cave, but what made everyone even more shocked was that Xiang Mingwang had actually done nothing about it. Who was that Yi Mo? Everyone was trying to find out. Han Yen also looked at Yi Mo in disbelief. She knew that Yi Mo was capable and could even become friends with someone like Zheng Jingxia, but she didn't expect Yi Mo to be able to slap the Gourd Cave in the face without them doing anything back. In a corner, a cold woman gave Yi Mo a deadly stare but sighed. He's too strong, and I'm still risking my life for a black rising pill. I really don't know why I need to get revenge for the Song family. Is it just because my surname is Song? Why do I have to do all of this when there are so many other people who escaped? Scheme against Han Yen at this moment. That youth on the stage understood that if it weren't for Yi Mo, he would have either been dead or mauled by now. As the young walked off the stage, he bowed in front of Yi Mo and said, This Wanbei is Zhang Hua from Wudang Mountain's Guangyao Temple. I thanked Xianbei for saving my life. And prepare for your next match, Yi Mo nodded. He knew that there were a lot of places that might not be famous, but that didn't mean they didn't have a proper heritage. He had heard of the Wudang Mountain, but never of this Guangyao Temple. From their name, though, Yi Mo could tell their expertise had to be in the area of pills. No one of the youth had qi recovery pills. Yi Mo knew that the Gourd Cave wouldn't be letting things go like this, but he couldn't know what they would do exactly. Despite Feng Wu telling everyone to be gentle, the tournament became more intense instead, since there were only 20 spots now. Everyone used every allowable means. After this round, there were 7 contestants with light injuries, 5 with heavy injuries, and there had even been 1 death. But no one cared about it, and neither did Yi Mo, although some sects wanted Yi Mo to do something about it. It seemed as though Yi Mo didn't see it. He would only concern himself with the Gourd Cave. Since other sects chose to participate, they needed to take responsibility. At lunchtime, Han Yen asked while eating, Big Brother Yi, I feel like you're targeting the Gourd Cave. Do you have enmity with them? Yi Mo nodded. I've killed quite some hidden sects people before, and their sect wants to be the leading avenger. Xiang Mingwang won't let me go for sure, but neither am I going to let him go. But today he endured well, so I believe they will attack me after the tournament. Big brother, you need to be careful. My master said that the Gourd Cave is the strongest outer hidden sect. They have a lot of masters, far from what the He-Lu sect can compare to, Han Yen advised worriedly. You don't need to worry. If he wasn't scared of me, he would have attacked this morning. Just worry about your match. Wait, Yi Mo suddenly stopped speaking. Han Yen looked worriedly at Yi Mo and asked, What's wrong, Big Brother Yi? Yi Mo frowned and suddenly said, Xiang Mingwang is known for being impetuous, and today their sect lost face hard. They can't do anything to me, but I suspect they might do something to you. Do something to me? But I'm always with you. What can they do? Han Yan asked in surprise. Yi Mo said seriously. With their capabilities, they can definitely arrange some master to fight you. If they really do, things won't go well for you. They might even try to kill you. You could choose to exit the tournament. Han Yan shook her head. Big Brother Yi, I have finally understood the truth about this world these few days. Power still rules over all. I can't retreat in the face of danger every single time. There are some things I need to face eventually. I came here for the Black Rising pill, but now that I'm already Black level, I don't need the pill. However, if I keep avoiding fights, that will have no benefit to my cultivation. Besides, I'm confident that I will be fine even if I have to fight the Gourd Cave's disciples. Yi Mo nodded. He knew she was right. Thinking about this, Yi Mo took out some materials and made 2 wind blade rune papers for Han Yan. Keep these 2 rune papers. In desperate moments, just throw them out, Sang Lin. Yi Mo was afraid the fireball would cause too much of an uproar, so he gave her 2 wind blade runes. Han Yan looked at Yi Mo and said awkwardly, Big Brother Yi, wouldn't that be a bit crazy? Yi Mo smiled. If you trust me, just save it for your opponent. Han Yan smiled and accepted. Thank you, Big Brother Yi. Other than my grandpa and my master, I trust you the most. If the Gourd Cave's disciple tries to kill you, you can just kill them. Don't worry about the consequences, Yi Mo said. There were only 40 people participating in the afternoon matches, and there was still one more elimination round left. Han Yan's match was more to the end. Yi Mo noticed that the frigid woman he had saved seemed to have gotten stronger and easily beat an opponent that was the same stage as her. Yi Mo felt like her inner chi didn't seem to be the same as yesterday's. Yi Mo frowned. Was it due to that yin-yang fish or the jade slip she took? He had checked both of those items with his spirit sense and hadn't found anything. Although Yi Mo was confused, it's not like he could ask to see those things again. The girl called Zi Su wasn't so lucky. She met a black-level fighter and was kicked off the stage. At this moment, Zheng Jingxia said to Yi Mo, I just got the list. Han Yan is fighting the Gourd Cave's Lu Ran. This guy is the 2nd seed. He's about to reach the peak of the black level. This battle doesn't look too good for Han Yan. No wonder Xiang Mingwang didn't say anything yesterday. Yi Mo smiled in derision. It was just as he'd expected. Brother Zheng, don't worry. Even if Han Yan is no match for him, that Lu Ran won't be able to do anything to her. Yi Mo had given her the rune papers and taught her a few moves. He was sure that if she was familiar with those moves, she wouldn't lose too badly even if she couldn't win. Not to mention that she had a defensive bracelet. The next fight was that Zhang Hua kid fighting a yellow-level tertiary stage fighter. Although that fighter wasn't bad, he still lost to Zhang Hua. After Zhang Hua got off, it was time for Han Yan's fight. Although Yi Mo didn't know this Lu Ran, when he got on the stage, Yi Mo could tell that he was strong. There were 2 other contestants Yi Mo knew of. One was Shi Zhongji from Jiuming Academy, and the other one was Zheng Jingxia's personal disciple, Zheng Shiho. These 3 could be ranked in the top 5. When Han Yan saw Lu Ran get on, she knew that Yi Mo's conjecture had become reality now. She had been paying attention and knew who was strong and who wasn't. It was customary to salute with your fists, but knowing that the opponent was there to kill her, Han Yan couldn't even be bothered to do it. Lu Ran looked coldly at Han Yan and sneered. You're Han Yan? I didn't expect a small place like Guanghan sect to have someone reach the top 20. I guess you're lucky, yet also unlucky. You're unlucky because you met me. But seeing how you're a woman, if you crawl in front of my feet, I can let you go. Han Yan ignored his words with contempt on her face and attacked with her sword. Seeing this, Lu Ran's face went cold. You may die now." Then he also took out his sword and attacked. Han Yan's sword flower attack was scattered upon meeting Lu Ran's sword rays. Sun Zhengxia's face changed, and he immediately said, "Lu Ran is using the dust-removing sword. That's one of the 3 great swords of the Gourd Cave. Han Yan's sword must clash with it." Clank, clank, clank. Han Yan's sword clashed with the dust-removing sword, but it didn't seem to get damaged at all. Sun Zhengxia rested easy and said, "I forgot Brother Yi had a lot of good weapons." Huh? Although Han Yan's sword didn't break, her heart sunk. Lu Ran's sword technique was better than hers, and his inner chi was far greater. A mere few clashes, and she was already almost spitting blood. Lu Ran snarled, "Die, bitch." Before Han Yan could steady herself, he stabbed out his sword at her chest. Han Yan's heart froze. She thought she already overestimated Lu Ran, but she found out that the difference between them was too great. It took only one move for her to be in disadvantage. Han Yan's heart froze. She thought she already overestimated Lu Ran, but she found out that the difference between them was too great. It took only one move for her to be in disadvantage. Just when Han Yan had given up hope, a white light flicked out of her wrist and formed a protective barrier. Although it was very short, it still stopped Lu Ran's sword rays. The rays stopped for a moment and then penetrated the barrier. In this second, Han Yan managed to gather up her chi again and used the first move Yi Mo had taught her, the 10-sword style. More than 10 sword rays flew towards Lu Ran, and because Lu Ran's move was near the end of its force, Han Yan's sword rays stopped Lu Ran's sword ray and continued forward. Lu Ran didn't expect Han Yan to be able to use sword techniques that strong. In his desperation, he quickly retreated and used his sword to block. His reaction speed was much stronger than Han Yan's, and due to that the sword rays only cut a few slashes on him. Lu Ran was angry and shocked at the same time. How did his sword ray get stopped mysteriously, and why did Han Yan know a sword technique that strong? He must not give her a second chance. Ignoring his wounds, he scooped up another sword ray and flung it towards Han Yan. Yi Mo sighed. Han Yan had only learned the superficial part of that move. Otherwise, no matter how strong Lu Ran was, he wouldn't have been able to dodge it. From this, he could tell the 100-sword style, and random sword style he taught her would be even worse. The moment Lu Ran retreated, he used his killing blow, and he brought sword light clashing into Han Yan. Their sword chi clashed together, and because Han Yan had weaker inner chi, she immediately felt an immense pressure. The force made her spit blood, but she bit her teeth and didn't take a step back. She knew that if she did, she would lose. She wouldn't have the power to use a third sword attack. Lu Ran was too strong. Although Lu Ran completely blocked Han Yan's move and even took the upper hand, the direction of Han Yan's sword chi was hard to deal with, and when he completely took down all the chi, Han Yan also stabilized her stance. Lin. Regardless of whether the charms Yi Mo had given her were useful, Han Yan immediately used her final card and threw both rune papers out. She had more faith in them after she saw the barrier from her bracelet. Lu Ran sneered. She was using rune papers that were meant for capturing ghosts on him. She was asking to die. Lu Ran grabbed the 2 rune papers and focused his sword chi while yelling, "Be asterisk, I'll cut you in half for Inja Dash." Suddenly, Lu Ran stopped talking. He felt the 2 rune papers Han Yan had thrown had a sharp sword chi in them. Lu Ran wanted to use his sword to block it, but the sword chi sliced through his arm and chest. How can it be like this? Lu Ran's eyes were wide open, while he refused to believe that he was being killed by a rune paper. Lu Ran collapsed on the stage. One of his arms had been cut off, and his chest was like a fountain of blood. Han Yan saw this and started puking. She couldn't believe that she had actually killed Lu Ran. Moreover, he had died in such a gruesome way. Everyone at the scene was silent. Lu Ran had actually died, killed by a disciple of Guanghan sect. No one could believe it, but it was fact. Gourd Cave's higher-ups were also stunned. Lu Ran was an important genius of theirs, and he had just died on the stage. No one could take this trauma. Xiang Mingwang was shaking in anger. Yan Kai was pale. It had been his idea to send Lu Ran to the stage. It could be said that he had lead Lu Ran to his death. *TCH, you dare to kill Lu Ran. Die. That judge from the Gourd Cave could no longer care and jumped on the stage. At the same time, his sword swirled with sharp chi slicing towards Han Yen, who was still stunned. Seeing this, everyone thought that Han Yen was dead for sure. Not even Emo would be able to save her. When the sword light came down, Han Yan's whole body was frozen, as if she was in an ice cave. She felt all of her chi dense and heavy. At that moment, she suddenly felt the pressure disappear, and a sneer sounded. It was Big Brother Ye's voice. Han Yen rejoiced. Not only Han Yen, but everyone else also saw a figure dash. Blood was spewed, once again on the stage. Slump, the elder, fell dead next to Lu Ran. No one saw how Emo had attacked, and no one saw how the elder died. Go down first, Emo said to Han Yen. After she got off, he said coldly, I said if you have the balls to get on stage again, I would make sure you wouldn't return. Everyone was shook. He was such a strong and domineering young man. People that morning thought that Emo had a strong support, but now they all realized Emo's reliance was on himself. He could kill in an instant a Gourd Cave elder. Everyone knew that an elder in Gourd Cave had to be at least Earth level middle stage. Now they all thought Emo was too frightening. Jiuming Academy's Shi Zhongji sucked in a cold breath and murmured, This Emo is so strong. I was planning to fight him before, but he's already at this stage. How does he cultivate? Martial sister, Xiao Yu said he killed Lone Wolf. I thought it was just bullshit. Zhongji, you don't need to feel bad. You're only in your 20s and you're already black level tertiary stage. If you have 10 more years, you will be able to catch up to Mo. Don't lose your will to fight before you even fight, a middle-aged woman from the Jiuming Academy said. Yes, Martial Uncle Kaiji. I will remember this. Shi Zhongji bowed. Mo, you've done it this time. Xiang Emingwang roared and pulled out his sword, charging onto the stage. Feng Wu saw that things were out of control and quickly signaled Zheng Jingxia. They both leapt onto the stage. In that moment, the remaining elders of Gourd Cave also charged onto the stage. Mo sneered, and a short sword appeared in his hand. He looked at Xiang Mingwang, saying, I hope you don't run away this time. Xiang Mingwang's heart went cold. He could feel the killing intent in Mo's eyes. He felt he was too impulsive. The thought of Mo killing an elder made Xiang Mingwang's go even colder. Would he be able to do that in such a short time? Xiang Mingwang felt he was acting impulsively, but he had no way back. Xiang Mingwang felt he was acting impulsively, but he had no way back. When Mo saw Feng Wu charge, he knew that his plan to kill Xiang Mingwang had failed again that day. He wasn't going to be able to kill Xiang Mingwang quickly, so he didn't bother to attack. Feng Wu stopped Xiang Mingwang and said with regret, Brother Xiang, the judge attacked a Wanbei disciple first. It was wrong of him in the first place. Now, Brother Xiang is representing the hidden sects to hold this tournament. You must be reasonable. After all the hidden sects people are here. If there's something you don't like, you need to wait after the tournament. Then Feng Wu said to Mo, Brother Yi, on my account, please discuss this after the tournament. Zheng Jingxia came up and just saluted Mo with his fist, but didn't say anything. Mo knew what he meant. If he fought against the Gourd Cave, he would be by his side. Xiang Mingwang glared at Mo and sneered before putting his sword back in the sheath and retreating with the Gourd Cave people. Seeing Xiang Mingwang retreat for a second time, Many people were shocked. The older generation of the hidden sex knew Xiang Mingwang very well. He was bad-tempered and easily angered, but he kept backing down because of a young person. One could see he had no confidence in facing Yi Mo Feng, who also breathed at easy now. He knew that the only reason Xiang Mingwang had retreated was because he had no confidence in beating Yi Mo. If Xiang Mingwang could, he wouldn't give a *T about him. Although Yi Mo wanted to kill Xiang Mingwang, it wasn't wise to challenge him there. After the fight stopped, many people were disappointed. They wanted to see Yi Mo and Xiang Mingwang fight. The bloody stage made the scene even more fiery. The following fights were more ruthless, but the top 20 was luckily quickly decided. What Yi Mo and a lot of people didn't expect was that 8 out of the top 20 resigned. It seemed they hadn't come for the top 3, but for the black rising pill. Han Yan resigned too. She could only reach up to there with her capabilities. The remaining people were masters, and they had been in black level for a long time. Meanwhile, she had just reached black level. Besides Han Yan, Zhang Hua and the cold woman also gave up. Most of the people who gave up were yellow levels. The remaining people were split into 3 groups with only one chosen from each group. Due to the Gourd Cave incident, the people holding the tournament no longer were in the mood to decide the exact ranks for the top 3. It was the first time there wasn't a winner for the tournament. But no one cared about this. Many people were thinking about the fight between Gourd Cave and Yi Mo. No one believed that the Gourd Cave would just let it go. It was getting dark, and the top 3's match could only be left for the 3rd day. When Han Yan got back, he told Han Yan to recover while he went to see that cold woman. He wanted to know if the yin yang fish and the jade slip were special. Yi Mo also got to see Han Yan's black rising pill, and he was very disappointed. It was more like a herb pill rather than a real pill. It's just that the herbs in it were precious. When Yi Mo got to Yuancheng Hotel, it was just dark. He entered her room, but she wasn't back yet. Yi Mo was disappointed to find that there was only some underwear in her cupboard. He could only wait for her to come back. After leaving the hotel, he went to a river not far away called the Guang River. It was said to be the place where King Qing Guang attained Tao. There was a square nearby, and it was quite popular. There were all sorts of little bars and food stalls. Yi Mo found a place to sit, but as soon as he sat down, his spirit sense saw that cold woman. She carried a bag and looked worried. Yi Mo soon knew why she was worried. It was because a black level and a yellow level peak were chasing her. She was running, but she didn't know which direction she should go. From this, it seemed that the 2 men wanted her black rising pill. He stood up and followed them. He wanted to see how the woman would deal with these 2. Soon, the woman was surrounded in a far-off place. "What do you want?" The woman grabbed her bag tightly and asked coldly. "Little sister, what do you think we want to do?" Hee. The yellow level man laughed as he glared at her. The black level said softly, "Yangzhu, you know your current situation. What we're asking for is simple. Give my martial brother your black rising pill and sleep with me for a few nights. Then everything is good. If not, you know the consequences." The cold woman said, "I can give you the black rising pill, but after that we go our separate ways. You want me to sleep with you? Keep dreaming. If you dare take a step forward, I'll swallow the pill immediately." Then the girl placed the pill next to her mouth. The black level laughed bleakly and still said slowly, "You can swallow it. I don't care. But after you take it, even if you commit suicide, I will still *CK you. It's your fault for being this pretty. Yangzhu, if you follow me, I can guarantee your entry into the Black Capital sect. It's much better than you living as a lonely ghost." The girl was dazed, as though she had realized that she wouldn't be able to escape, even if she took the pill. Yi Mo could see in her eyes that she had lost hope. She knew that no matter how strong she was, she would be no match for a black level. Yi Mo knew that there was no point in waiting then, so he walked out slowly. Marshal brother, annihilate that passing by rat. The black level saw Yi Mo walking towards them and said bleakly, Yes, Marshal brother, do your thing. I'll deal with anyone who disturbs you. The yellow level agreed. As soon as he said that, he looked dumbly at Yi Mo approaching them. Just when the black level was about to ask why the yellow level wasn't moving, he saw Yi Mo coming, and the words got stuck in his throat. That cold woman also saw Yi Mo and regained hope in her eyes, but it immediately turned into coldness. Yi Mo didn't care how that woman saw him. He had come to find her for the two objects, Qianbei. The two men looked at Yi Mo approaching them, but they were too scared to move. The cold woman saw Yi Mo come over there. She had a complicated look in her eyes, but she quickly returned to her calm disposition. She just turned around and walked away. Yi Mo was dazed. He saved her, but she didn't even say thank you. But Yi Mo wasn't worried about her going very far. She was living there, and he would go find her to her room later on. Qianbei, us Wanbei are both disciples of the Black Capital Sect. Please forgive us once, the Black Level Man begged. Qianbei, us Wanbei are both disciples of the Black Capital Sect. Please forgive us once, the Black Level Man begged. Black Capital Sect? Yi Mo felt that name was familiar. He remembered that after he killed Daoxian, he got a card that read Black Capital. So, they were from Daoxian's sect. Thinking about this, Yi Mo was no longer in the mood to ask any more questions. So, he just threw 2 fireballs casually. After this, Yi Mo headed to the cold woman's place. When Yi Mo arrived, he felt something wasn't right. The woman hadn't gotten there at all, which meant that she ran away as soon as he saved her. Did she know that he wanted to look at the things she got last night? That was impossible. She didn't know who had brought her back last night. Yi Mo frowned. She was such a cunning woman. Yi Mo felt she had some enmity towards him, but he couldn't understand why. Yi Mo shook his head and stopped thinking about it. The woman's power didn't pose any threat to him. Even if she got something related to immortal cultivation, without resources, she was still no threat to him. After a while, Yi Mo was sure that the woman wouldn't be coming back, so he left the hotel in disappointment. When Yi Mo came back to the top floor of his hotel, he found Zhang Hua sitting there talking to Han Yan. The two saw Yi Mo arrive, and both got up. Zhang Hua, why are you here? Yi Mo asked strangely. Zhang Hua quickly bowed. Qianbei, I got the Black Rising pill, and I know that if I didn't come here, I would have no place to go. Yi Mo immediately understood. Zhang Hua was very smart to think of coming to his place. He knew that no one would dare to rob at his place. Yi Mo nodded and said, Okay, you can stay here. He didn't mind the youth borrowing his power. Yi Qianbei, Wanbei is a disciple of the Wudang Guangyao Temple. My master has passed away, and Wanbei is sure that people would be interested in my Dao technique if I go back. So I have no place to go now. If Qianbei's sect needs disciples, Wanbei is willing to join Qianbei's sect, Zhang Hua said respectfully. So it was another lone wolf. Zhang Hua wasn't stupid. He knew he had caught everyone's attention. That smart young man was indeed a good seed. His flowing snake needed people like him. Thinking about this, Yi Mo said, I don't have a sect, but I have a pharmaceutical company called Luoyu. If you want to join, you can go to Flowing Snake. I'm not that much older than you, no need to call me Qianbei. Yes, Big Brother Yi, I'm willing to join Luoyu. And I'm also skilled in making medicine, Zhang Hua immediately replied. Okay, in that case you two can leave tomorrow. Zhang Hua to Flowing Snake. Han Yan, you can go back to Beijing. There will be things happening tomorrow, and I might not be able to take care of you guys. It's best for you guys to leave early, Yi Mo decided. The next morning, Yi Mo sent Zhang Hua and Han Yan away before going back to the Broken Top Mountain. If it weren't for that spirit well, he wouldn't have even come back. There were obviously less people now. Those sects that got the black rising pill probably left. Yi Mo scanned the elders of Gourd Cave and didn't notice anyone missing. If the Gourd Cave didn't kill him first, they wouldn't dare attack Han Yen and the others. Feng Wu walked on the stage and said, "Today is the last day of our hidden sects tournament. Those who can compete today are the elite of their sects, geniuses amongst geniuses. Every one of them is our wealth, so I hope everyone can control themselves and stop appropriately. No need to cause unnecessary injuries. Okay, let the match begin." Hold up, before Feng Wu got off, a sudden voice interrupted him. Everyone looked at the person, wanting to know who he was. A black-clothed man with a young man in his 20s approached him and walked straight to the stage. The man saluted with his fists and said, "It's said that all the heroes of China are gathered here today. I wish to bring my disciple to compete, as well to see if the Chinese masters aren't just pushovers." Feng Wu frowned. If that person could walk there just like that, it meant that the people outside had all been beaten down. It was no ordinary person, but why was he using that provocative tone? Feng Wu couldn't believe everyone was as crazily strong as Yi Mo. Thinking about this, he rejected it. "I'm very sorry, but our tournament has limited spots, and today is the final match. If you want to watch, then please get off the stage. But if you're here to cause trouble, then don't blame me," Feng Wu said. The man kept saying, "You Chinese people," which meant that he must not be Chinese. "So, does this mean that the Chinese martial artists do not dare to accept our challenge?" the black-clothed man said. "You came looking for trouble. What is your name? No matter which corner you came from, Feng Wu, will take the challenge," Feng Wu said coldly. "Great, courageous. Where I'm from is not important. I heard that you only have 12 people left in your tournament. I only have one disciple. Your geniuses can take turns to fight him. If anyone beats my disciple, I'll admit defeat, but if all 12 are no match for my disciple, then my request is simple," the black-clothed man said, as though he was going to win for sure. Feng Wu's eyes narrowed. "Your disciple has no right to compete. Our spots in the tournament were already decided, but if you want, I can exchange some moves with you." The black-clothed man looked at Feng Wu contemptuously and said, "You're no match for me. If you want to fight, that's fine, but I need a reward." "Is this the request you were talking about?" Feng Wu said contemptuously. The black-clothed man laughed. "That's right. This is my request. If I win, I get the 4 crystals. Keep dreaming." Xiang Mingwang stood up abruptly. The man's face didn't change at all, and he said slowly, "In that case, do you have no faith in beating me?" "Ha ha! China, the so-called country of ancient martial arts heritage, doesn't even have the courage to fight me. What a joke! Such an arrogant fool. I'll teach you a lesson today." Feng Wu was about to attack. A middle-aged man suddenly jumped out and said, "Martial brother, you don't need to deal with insects like him. Leave it to me." Feng Wu saw it was Zheng Chao and immediately nodded. Although his martial brother loved stealing the show, he was a good fighter indeed. Even he would need to put some effort to take him down. Thinking about this, he said, "Be careful." Seeing this, the black-clothed man said to the young man, "Watch how master teaches people lessons." "Yes, master." The young disciple got off the stage. Zheng Chao sneered and grabbed the long sword from his back. "Coward who doesn't dare to tell us his origin." "Get ready." Zheng Chao's sword chi covered the surroundings as he charged at the black-clothed man. The black-clothed man laughed pridefully, and 2 short blades appeared in his hand. Just when everyone was surprised by his weapon, the man's blades clashed with the long sword. After crackles of sparks, the man's body twisted unbelievably and landed a shot on Zheng Chao's back. Zheng Chao hadn't expected it and immediately spat blood, but before he could even fall on the ground, he was kicked off the stage. Everybody at the scene fell into silence. An Earth-level tertiary master had been kicked off the stage. The black-clothed man was too strong. No one saw how the black-clothed man kicked Xing Chao off the stage. Feng Wu looked on in disbelief. He was sure that he wouldn't be able to kick Xing Chao off as easily. No one saw how the black-clothed man kicked Xing Chao off the stage. Feng Wu looked on in disbelief. He was sure that he wouldn't be able to kick Xing Chao off as easily. Yi Mo frowned. He saw clearly that the black-clothed man's moves were filled with eeriness, and so was his inner qi. His inner qi might not be as strong as Xing Chao's, but Xing Chao was obviously not used to this ghostly way of fighting. Just then, the black-clothed man had twisted his body into a double helix shape. It was very brief, but Yi Mo picked up on it with his spirit sense. Yi Mo was sure that if the man used a style of fighting Xing Chao was used to, victory would be hard to predict. As for him, the threat this black-clothed man posed was far less than Wang Lenchan because, under his spirit sense, this black-clothed man's elusive moves were clear as day. But for others it was different. Even Wang Lenchan wouldn't be able to be certain of victory if he wasn't familiar with the black-clothed man's moves. Unless Wang Lenchan used his killing blow as soon as he came out, but who would use those killing blows that had strong aftereffects immediately? This petty power. Yet you dare act cool? The black-clothed man seemed to have done something insignificant as he tapped his hands. Feng Wu's eyes went cold. Even if he was no match for this person, he had to attack. Otherwise, his Jiuming Academy would lose face. Seeing Feng Wu wanted to fight him, the black-clothed man said plainly, "Since you're agreeing to fight me, that must mean that if you lose, you will give the crystals." Feng Wu said coldly, "You've got your sly schemes, but those crystals don't belong to me. There's no way you can have them." Feng Wu had to be careful. The black-clothed man laughed. "Is the country with the biggest ancient martial arts heritage too scared to even bet this much? I'll be frank here. I came here for the crystals today. If you don't want to fight, that's fine. Just say that you Chinese ancient martial artists are no match for me." "Shameless thing, let me test how strong you are." Zheng Jingxia stood up and pulled out the sword he had gotten from Yi Mo. "Humph, I'm ready to fight any time. Anyone. But if you come, that means you accept my challenge, and you will give the crystals if you lose," the black-clothed man said. Feng Wu waved his hand. "Since you're so confident, let your disciple come first, and I'll choose a disciple from our side." "Okay, Shihu, go test how genius those Chinese geniuses really are," the black-clothed man sneered. Feng Wu stopped Zheng Jingxia and said quietly, "This person is a bit strange. We didn't even see how he knocked Xing Chao off the stage. I suggest watching his disciple first, and then we can attack." Zheng Jingxia agreed. Yi Mo sighed. With the unpredictability of those moves, this black-clothed man's disciple would likely win. If Zheng Jingxia's personal disciple were to go on, Yi Mo would need to help. Thinking about this, Yi Mo started to prepare some wind blades. At this moment, that she who walked up and said, "Anyone dare fight me?" As soon as he spoke up, a black-level primary stage youth jumped on the stage. "Some shameless coward dares to challenge our China? You're asking to die." This young man was one of the final 12. He whipped his whip towards that she who as he spoke. She who heard this, and his face sunk. He also took out 2 blades that resembled rulers. At this moment the whip was already nearing him. If he didn't dodge, he might be split in half by that. At the moment the whip arrived, she who fell to the ground as though whipped down. But Yi Mo knew that the whip hadn't touched him at all. Yi Mo sighed. This youth holding the whip was going to be in trouble. As expected, before the young man could even let out a laugh, he suddenly had a fearful expression on his face and soon fell dead on the stage. Yi Mo had noticed that she whose body became a lot longer when he fell to the ground, and it extended to the youth's back before she, who smashed his ruler into the young man's heart. "Martial Brother Wei," a cry of agony sounded from below the stage. A man jumped up and pulled out his sword, about to kill Shihu, but before he could properly thrust his sword, Shihu had disappeared. When everyone focused on the stage again, the man who had jumped on it was already dead. Cause of death could be guessed from the hole in the back of his head. This was too ghastly. No one had seen how the eerie youth attacked. Only Feng Wu and Zheng Jingxia had seen a little. The scene sunk into silence. This pair of master and disciple was too creepy. No one could see how they attacked, and they left no attacker alive. Even Feng Wu and the furious Xiang Mingwang fell silent. What? Will only those two be coming up? Does China have no one left? The black-clothed man challenged, in contempt. I'll go up. A handsome youth got up full of anger. It was Shi Zhongji, the #1 ranked seed. Feng Wu said, "Without my orders, Jiuming Academy must not fight." Yi Mo said to Zheng Jingxia, "Brother Zheng, tell your personal disciple, Zheng Shiho here, to come. I'll teach him a move and let him go up." Zheng Jingxia called Zheng Shiho over without hesitation. If it were someone else, he would think they were trying to harm his disciple, but not Yi Mo. Zheng Shiho had been itching to go, so now that his master let him, he wanted to charge up without hesitation, but he was stopped by Yi Mo. Yi Mo gave a stack of wind-blade rune papers to him and said, "Don't talk to him when you get up there. He isn't as strong as you. He's only relying on some eerie movement technique. You just need to throw this stack of rune papers and shout out Lin." "Yes, martial uncle." Zheng Shiho took the paper respectfully. Due to his master, everyone in 36 River respected Yi Mo. Yi Mo had made an entire set of wind blade rune papers this time. It wasn't like a single rune paper. He had proper killing intent for this cruel Shihu. Zheng Shiho walked onto the stage. Shihu looked coldly at him. "How nice, having the guts to die. You're better than those cowards. China has a few fighters at least." Zheng Shiho simply pinched his 2 fingers in the air, imitating the killing of an ant. Seeing this, Shihu had aggression show on his face. "We'll see how cocky you are after I kill you." At the same time, Zheng Shiho threw out that stack of rune papers and yelled, "Lin." Zheng Shiho felt countless blade rays and blade chi flash across his eyes, and all he thought was, "What a strong sword chi." Splash, blood shot out everywhere. Even Zheng Shiho was dazed. He knew that the rune papers Yi Mo gave him would be useful because he had seen Han Yen use them, but he didn't expect them to be this strong. This Shi, who was actually killed without resistance. Soon after, Zheng Shiho wanted to vomit. Shi, whose head and feet had been completely split apart. Ha! It took that black-clothed man a while to react. His beloved disciple was split into a bunch of pieces. In his fury, the man charged up the stage and raised his metal ruler to smash it down on Zheng Shiho, but he somehow missed. When he realized what had happened and saw Yi Mo take away Zheng Shiho, he didn't continue his attack. Yi Mo looked at him coldly. "Just with your meager strength, you dare act cocky and have designs on the crystals, you Japanese?" The black-clothed man calmed down, and no showed the fury he had before. He said with extreme frigidness, "I, Yoyan Karu, challenge you to a fight. If you lose, I can let you go, but you must give me him." He pointed at Zheng Shiho. Yi Mo said plainly, "Talk after you win. You can't win with your mouth." The black-clothed man's expression got ugly. He suddenly clashed the 2 rulers in his hands, and just when everyone wondered what he was doing, he disappeared on the spot. The black-clothed man's expression got ugly. He suddenly clashed the 2 rulers in his hands, and just when everyone wondered what he was doing, he disappeared on the spot. Everyone watching the fight shivered. What sort of martial arts could make someone disappear for a brief moment? Anyone would be caught off guard in that situation. Although Yi Mo was strong, could he dodge an invisible attack? Even Zheng Jingxia was worried, since it was the highest level of ninjutsu. Before everyone could think, there was a howl of pain. Everybody focused on the two people fighting on the stage. Yi Mo stood where he was without moving, but the black-clothed man had lost an arm. After a moment of silence, the crowd burst into applause. The black-clothed man was too cocky, and he was undermining Chinese ancient martial arts. Although no one had seen how Yi Mo had cut the black-clothed man's arm, it wasn't important now. Only Xiang Mingwang looked unhappy. He didn't expect Yi Mo to be that strong. It would have been hard for him to fight the black-clothed man, but Yi Mo could instantly cut off his arm. What he didn't know was that in a real fight in Yi Mo's eyes, he was much stronger than the black-clothed man. At this moment, Yan Kai, who had been gone for some time, came over and whispered something to Xiang Mingwang's ear. Xiang Mingwang heard this, and his expression got even unhappier. After a long while, he sighed and nodded. The black-clothed man didn't seem to care about the arm that was cut off, and instead looked at Yi Mo and said, "You can see where I truly am." Yi Mo sneered. Even ghosts were visible under his spirit sense. Much less that little trick. "I'm no match for you. What is your name? I will come back in the future for payback." The black-clothed man appeared cruel. Yi Mo said plainly, "You won't have a future. Since you've come, there's no need for you to leave. China is a big country. Is this how you treat your guests? This tournament is just a meeting. Does it mean you must die if you lose?" Just when he was going to keep talking, Yi Mo threw a wind blade at him. Yi Mo still wanted revenge for the Japanese men who had captured Qingshue's plane. Now, there was no way he was going to let the black-clothed man get away. The black-clothed man suddenly sneered. "Do you want to kill me? Keep dreaming. Lord Black Sun won't let you go." At the same time, the black-clothed man disappeared from the stage. Everyone looked at Yi Mo, who was standing alone on it in shock. What was that martial art technique? Had he just disappeared again? Yi Mo said slowly, "Playing this trick in front of me will be your demise." Then Yi Mo kicked a ruler that was on the stage. It flew up like a comet, hitting the black-clothed man who was trying to run away through the door, and it pinned him on a post. The metal ruler pierced through his neck. Everyone looked at the post in astonishment. They didn't know how the black-clothed man had gotten already to the door. How long had it been? The black-clothed man grabbed the ruler. He wanted to say something, but he could only make strange sounds. Yi Mo walked up to him and said coldly, "Your earth mobility is quite good." After hearing this, the black-clothed man rolled his eyes and died. Yi Mo took out a black sun badge from his clothes, and he thought about it. He hadn't had time to find them, and yet they were already messing with him again. Yi Mo put the badge away, but he was even more confused. He didn't know why these people wanted the crystals, nor how they knew about the spirit well and the crystals. Yi Mo was sure that they didn't know where the spirit well was, just like them. Otherwise, they would go straight there. Feng Wu thought he was already overestimating Yi Mo, but he had clearly underestimated him once again. If he had gone on the stage, he wouldn't have been able to beat that easily the black-clothed man's eerie moves. It was very likely that he would have lost the match and his life as well. But Yi Mo had killed him quite easily. Seeing Yi Mo return to his seat, Zheng Zhengxia smiled and said, "Brother Yi, nice kill. How can a mere Japanese guy dare to act cocky at the heart of the ancient martial arts sects?" Feng Wu could only come and congratulate him too. Then he announced, "Now let the tournament continue." The top three were decided soon after that. They were Shi Zhongji, Zheng Shiho, and Yi Shuang from the Lianhang Jing Temple. Lu Ran should have been in the top three, but he had been killed. Hence, the Gourd Cave didn't have one of theirs in the top three. This made Xiang Emingwang hate Yi Mo even more. The award ceremony was coming up next, but Yi Mo didn't care. He only cared about how to get to the spirit well. Where was this place? If it was a place with spirit chi, they couldn't blame him for taking it all. Resources were scarce there, and he had used all possible means to finally reach chi gathering middle stage. Without luck, he would never reach stage 5, even if he cultivated for another 10 years. So if there were any resources that could cause a breakthrough, he would take it. Yimo's logic was that power comes always first. Without power, you are nothing. If he hadn't reached stage 4, he would have been completely devoured by many people. After the tournament ended, and all the guests left, the ghost city returned to its original peace. The tournament had been very turbulent, despite many people thinking it had been due to Yimo. No one dared to say anything about it. Yimo wouldn't care about what they said either. Now he was preparing to go with Feng Wu, Xiang Mingwang, and Zheng Jingxia to the spirit well. Zheng Jingxia didn't know where it was, and Xiang Mingwang and Feng Wu had no intention of telling them. After seeing everyone leave, there were only the 4 grand judges, and the top 3 left, a total of 7 people. It wasn't long before 2 helicopters landed there. Feng Wu stood up and said, "Regardless of past discords, I hope that everyone will prioritize the big matters. The spirit well is everyone's hope for ascension. We need to work together to open it." Then Xiang Mingwang arranged for Zheng Jingxia and the top 3 to go on one helicopter. After that, one left. Feng Wu was just about to go on the second helicopter when Xiang Mingwang suddenly said, "Brother Feng, we've been in this city for so long. Don't you think it would be a bit rude if we just left like this? Regardless, the government has helped us a lot with the tournament. I think we should go say goodbye before we leave. How about you guys leave first? I'll say goodbye and come back." Hearing this, Feng Wu thought for a second and then nodded. "Brother Xiang is right. How about Brother Xiang and Brother Yi leave first? It's more suitable for me to do it like this." Yimo felt something was off. If it was Feng Wu bringing this up, he would feel it was normal, but it was Xiang Mingwang. The helicopter rose up very quickly with only Yimo, Xiang Mingwang, and the pilot in it. Yimo and Xiang Mingwang didn't talk. He felt like it was too strange. Xiang Mingwang organized 2 separate helicopters, and Feng Wu was also sent away by him. Yimo knew that Xiang Mingwang probably had some schemes going on, but he wasn't afraid. The helicopter rose up very quickly with only Yimo, Xiang Mingwang, and the pilot in it. Yimo and Xiang Mingwang didn't talk. He felt like it was too strange. Xiang Mingwang organized 2 separate helicopters, and Feng Wu was also sent away by him. Yimo knew that Xiang Mingwang probably had some schemes going on, but he wasn't afraid. If it weren't that he wanted to find the crystals, Yimo would have really wanted to kill Xiang Mingwang right then and there. Xiang Mingwang sat down and never said a thing. 1 hour later, Yimo noticed a snow mountain underneath the helicopter. The mountain was at least tens of kilometers long, and its peak pierced into the clouds, making it quite a spectacular view. Yimo decided that once he got the spirit stones, he would have a good look around it. "Is this the Nei snow mountain?" Yimo asked subconsciously. He suddenly thought of that ancient tomb the Fu brothers had talked about. Was all that here? Although Yimo was talking to himself, Xiang Mingwang still replied calmly, "Yes, this is the Nei snow mountain. The spirit well is also here. We can all open it together when Brother Feng and sect leader Zheng arrive." Yimo nodded. If this Xiang Mingwang played tricks on him, he would kill him. There would still be Feng Wu, who knew the whereabouts of the spirit well. Looking down from the helicopter, Yimo saw a small river, probably the Liansang River. The chopper flew past the peaks for another hour before landing at a flat platform at the waist of the mountain. The man called Yan Kai was already waiting there. Other than him, Yimo didn't sense anyone else. Yimo got off and found that this place had to be at least 3 or 4 kilometers above sea level. Everything was covered in snow. This would be a fitting place for immortals. Yimo sighed silently. If a hidden sex were to be founded here, It would definitely prove to be a good place for them to develop. The spirit well is here. Yi Emo looked at Xiang Ming Wang confusedly. Xiang Ming Wang said coldly, "The spirit well isn't here, but this is the origin of our gourd cave. The valley beneath those clouds is our sect." Yi Mo's voice turned cold. "Xiang Ming Wang, do you think I don't dare kill you or that I can't kill you?" Xiang Ming Wang didn't resemble a rash person at all now, and just said, "If you're scared, you can immediately get the pilot to fill up gas and take you away. It was our sect who discovered the passage to the spirit well. To be precise, the spirit well belongs to us." Yi Emo laughed. He wouldn't believe that the gourd cave would be so honorable as to share their own spirit well. Xiang Mingwang didn't seem to notice Yi Mo's scorn and just kept talking. "The spirit well can only be opened by great heaven masters or 4 masters who exceed the earth level peak stage. The duration it opens for is only 3 days. Our sect leader has been in solitary cultivation for more than 10 years, and so we can't open it ourselves. Thus, we invite other sects to open it together. Usually it's me, Brother Feng, Wang Lenchan, and Bian Shihai. But this time, those 2 didn't come, so we invited you and Zheng Xingxia." So that was it. Yi Mo nodded. This was actually quite credible, but Yi Mo felt that there had to be a hidden reason why Xiang Mingwang had sent Feng Wu away. Whatever it was, he simply needed to be careful. Thinking about how he had even successfully sieged Diansang, Yi Mo couldn't help but feel prideful. So what if it was the great and mighty gourd cave? Even if they were the #1 sect, he wasn't afraid of them. Xiang Mingwang then turned to Yan Kai and said, "Yan Kai, take Yi Mo to the spirit well. I will meet with Brother Feng first." Then he went on the helicopter and quickly left. Seeing Yi Mo frown, Yan Kai opened his hands and said with a smile, "Sect leader Yi, please come with me." Then he just walked down the stairs to the gourd cave. Yi Mo smiled and followed without hesitation. Seeing this, Yan Kai smiled even more. As he walked, he started to talk about the snow mountain like a tour guide. Yi Mo listened, and even though he wasn't interested at all, Yan Kai kept on talking like a woman. An hour and a half later, the 2 had walked over countless barriers and harsh terrain before reaching a metal chain bridge. Yi Mo scanned it. The metal chain was at least 500 m long. His spirit sense couldn't see the end of it. His eyes were covered by white mist, so he could only see tens of meters ahead. It couldn't have been easy to set this chain up. "That's the #1 sect for you." Yan Kai turned around and said to Yi Mo, "After this chain, we will be almost there." Then he jumped on first, and his figure soon disappeared into the white mist. Yi Mo smiled in contempt and went onto the bridge too. Yan Kai was very fast, and in just a few moments, he had passed more than 700 meters of metal chain. He let out a breath of relief and looked back subconsciously, but then he found out that Yi Mo was already standing on the platform with a sneer on his face. Yan Kai's heart skipped a beat. He didn't even know when Yi Mo got in front of him. He was an Earth-level middle stage. Thinking about this, he couldn't help but shiver. If Yi Mo had wanted to kill him just then, he would already be a body by now. Yan Kai smiled up to Yi Mo fawningly and informed that after 10 more minutes on this road, they would be reaching the gourd cave. Yi Mo had a plain expression on his face and said, "You just need to lead the way. Don't worry about anything else." "Yes, sect leader Yi, please follow me," Yan Kai said carefully. As Yan Kai twisted and turned a few times, the view opened up to show a broad terrain. Yi Mo couldn't help but be amazed at the hidden sect's searching skills. Whether it was Diansang or Serenity, they were all too well hidden. Without someone to lead the way, he wouldn't be able to find the place even after half a month. Yi Mo was even more bewildered to find that the landscape did indeed resemble a gourd. After arriving there, Yi Mo clearly felt the temperature rise up. Yi Mo suddenly thought, if one day I am sick of city life, it wouldn't be bad to live here The only thing Yemo didn't like was that the terrain was a valley, and it didn't have that view you can only have from the peak of a mountain. Yemo walked down a stone tablet road, which led to a huge palace and a square. At the door, Yemo's face sunk. More than 30 people walked out from all directions, and he saw that Xiang Mingwang had already returned. Did he believe they could kill him? An old face appeared from the middle door, and someone stood on the square looking at Yi Mo as they said, "You're the Yi Mo who killed so many of our sect members." Yi Mo looked at the old man, and his heart sunk. For the first time, he couldn't see what his power level was. Also, this old man gave him a death threat feeling. It was the first time he had such a feeling. Yi Mo looked at the old man, and his heart sunk. For the first time, he couldn't see what his power level was. Also, this old man gave him a death threat feeling. It was the first time he had such a feeling. The old man was a strong enemy. He had a certain temperament of vastness to him that almost made Yi Mo think of the pressure foundation establishment cultivators had. If Yi Mo hadn't been sure that there were no cultivators in Gourd Cave, he would be running now. The old man was too scary. Yi Mo gathered all his chi, so he was ready to break through their barricade. He had been too careless. He didn't expect there could be someone that terrifying in Xiang Mingwang's base. If Yi Mo had known there was an old guy like that, he would have killed Xiang Mingwang at the top of the Broken Top Mountain. "I am the Yi Mo, the one who has killed your Gourd Cave's members." Yi Mo breathed. Since he had already come, he needed to face it. Even if he couldn't run away, he would drag a few with him. "You're very bold. You killed my sect members, but you still dare to come here empty-handed," this old man said plainly, and then took a step forward casually. An invisible force charged at Yi Mo, and his clothes flailed. It was as though a big hammer smashed him in the chest. He subconsciously used his chi around his body to calm down. Still, he was shook hard. Was that old man at Great Heaven level? If he was, then what was Tan Jiao supposed to be? Didn't people say there were no Great Heaven masters? Where did the old man come from? These big sects were not easy to deal with indeed. It seemed that the Jiuming Academy and the Wang family might also have people like these as well. If that was the case, then he really had been underestimating this world. The old man saw that Yi Mo had taken his inner chi blow, and was a little surprised. That move seemed simple, but Yi Mo could take it without taking a step back or getting injured. This was no simple challenge. For the first time, Yi Mo caused in him a strange feeling. The old man sighed. He seemed to be struggling to talk. "Yi Mo, you could accomplish great things. Such a pity. Sect leader, he killed our elder and humiliated our sect. Our genius sect member Lu Ran was also killed by him. Even Peng Nigui lost an arm. If you hadn't come out in time, our 1,000-year-old heritage would have been gone to waste, and we wouldn't have been able to keep the spirit well," Xiang Mingwang said respectfully. "Are you the sect leader?" Yi Mo was shook. He didn't expect the sect leader to suddenly finish his solitary cultivation. "That's right. I am the sect leader of Gourd Cave, Rin Pingchuan. Since you killed that many sect members of mine, then no matter how genius you are, you need to stay here today," Ren Pingchuan said plainly. Yi Mo sneered. He was going to give his all. He couldn't dodge it either way. He looked at the extremely old man and sneered again. "Sect leader Ren, I respect your power, but not your character. Your sect provoked me. Am I not allowed to retaliate?" Ren Pingchuan said slowly, "My Gourd Cave sect is the biggest sect in the outer hidden sections. We don't need you to teach us what to do. Moreover, Xiang Mingwang just asked you about your heritage. Even if he killed a person of yours, you can't retaliate against us." Yi Mo laughed. "Old fart. How shamelessness. I was wondering why the Gourd Cave people were all so shameless. It seems that's all part of its heritage. Old thing, just because you reached great heaven, don't think that you can do anything to me." Rin Pingchuan didn't seem to hear Yimo's curses. He just looked up into the clouds with a frown. Then he said plainly, I've been in solitary training for 80 years, yet I didn't reach great heaven. Pity, I don't have much time. Sighed Dash, old thing, you're not at great heaven level? Yimo was shocked. He was sure that Rin Pingchuan was at great heaven level, but he turned out not to be great heaven. Rin Pingchuan said plainly, the fact that you're able to kill halfway great heaven masters at this young age means that your heritage is very significant. In that case, give it to me. Perhaps I might be able to take that step forward with it. Then Rin Pingchuan walked forward and palmed Yimo. Yimo almost thought that Rin Pingchuan was a cultivator. There was a 5 to 6 meter difference between them, but it only took him one step to get in front of him. Before the palm even landed, the searing wind and a sharp killing intent were already looming over him. Yimo really wanted to avoid it, but he realized his entire body was cloaked in the palm wind. He had no other way but to it head on. The flying sword appeared in Yimo's hand instantly, and using 90% of his chi, he pierced Rin Pingchuan's palm. Rumble, the palm and fist didn't clash together, but a many-meter deep ditch was created. Yimo was smashed by the palm wind and thrown into a gourd cave member. This person didn't even get to make a sound. He was instantly killed by the crash. Good sword, I didn't even see where you took out your sword from. You're capable. Rin Pingchuan didn't seem to notice at all that a sect member of his had died because of Yimo. He didn't even seem to notice that the sword had sliced his hand. Yimo resisted the ruptures in this dantian and gulped down the blood. He was about to spit. He was shocked at the old man's inner chi intensity. Young man, you're this young. You have such dense inner chi and such sharp weapon. Your heritage is significant indeed. Give me your heritage and end yourself. I can assure that our sect members won't get revenge on your family, nor go to that flowing snake of yours. Rin Pingchuan was really interested in Yimo's heritage now. Yimo used 100% of his chi, and the flying sword in his hand turned into a huge door-sized sword as he tried to hack the old man with countless killing intent. At the same time, he sneered, Old fart, your promise is bullsh *T in my eyes. Rin Pingchuan had reached the bottom line. Yimo felt that although Rin Pingchuan's inner chi was much greater than his, he could have a chance since Rin Pingchuan was too old. Yimo knew that for masters like Rin Pingchuan, his fireballs and wind blades were no threat at all. When he saw the huge sword, Rin Pingchuan's expression became very excited. He murmured, It's a real magic artifact. The legends are true. Rin Pingchuan grabbed a black stick from his waist. Rumble, Yimo's flying sword clashed with Rin Pingchuan's stick, creating a huge chi wave. The weaker sect members were knocked out while the others retreated in fear. Yimo was smashed into a wall again. His body was covered in blood. Yimo felt his bones were breaking. Even his dantian was about to break. He didn't think too much. He immediately took 2 Lotus Life pills. After taking them, his wounds recovered rapidly. Luckily, he had Lotus Life pills with him. Otherwise, he would be over. He had too little offensive means. After all, the resources were limited there, and a lot of means required chi. Yimo had to use the sword control now. It was his life-saving trump card, but Rin Pingchuan was too strong, and he had to use it then. Rin Pingchuan also didn't take the attack lightly. Blood seeped out of his mouth. Young man, you've completely annoyed me now, Rin Pingchuan said. He hadn't seen Yimo take the pill, and even if he had, he wouldn't care. There was no pill that could help him recover after such heavy injury that quickly. You go cut off his legs and bring him over. He shouldn't be able to move anymore after that. Rin Pingchuan pointed at a black-level tertiary stage man and said, Yes, martial ancestor. The person rejoiced and ran to him. Yimo subconsciously looked for the road he had come from and found that it was sealed. Xiang Emingwang thought Yi Mo was hoping for Feng Wu to appear, and sneered. Feng Wu and Zheng Jingxiao won't be coming, don't count on that. Even if they came, they wouldn't help you. Yi Mo ignored Xiang Mingwang. His flying sword moved again, and split the black level stage man in half. How dare you? Ren Pingchuan yelled. His stick brought a whirlwind of killing intent as it smashed Yi Mo's leg. Ren Pingchuan couldn't control himself after seeing Yi Mo still had the ability to kill after that. Ren Pingchuan's cane brought a bursting force with it that shook the entire square. Even the sect members on the side were suffocating from that attack, much less Yi Mo, who was at the forefront of it. Ren Pingchuan's cane brought a bursting force with it that shook the entire square. Even the sect members on the side were suffocating from that attack, much less Yi Mo, who was at the forefront of it. Seeing the tornado-like wind come pressing in, Yi Mo's heart sunk. He knew that Ren Pingchuan wanted to break his legs completely. If that hit his legs, then even if he immediately became Foundation establishment level, he wouldn't be able to recover them. At this moment, Yi Mo had to use his trump card. He knew that the flying sword wouldn't be able to hurt Ren Pingchuan at all, but he still used it. At the same time, he gathered all the qi in his body and released it at the tornado force. The reason why he used his flying sword to attack Ren Pingchuan was to stop him from using the inner qi into the tornado. If he let Ren Pingchuan continue inserting his inner qi like that, he wouldn't be able to block that move no matter what. And this was Ren Pingchuan not wanting to kill him. If he did, Yi Mo would be squashed into a pancake. Rumble. Yi Mo's qi and Ren Pingchuan's qi clashed, creating a huge explosion and shattering the rocks nearby. This scene would really mean nothing much for immortal cultivators, but for mortal ancient martial artists, it was quite shocking. Sword control. Ren Pingchuan said in shock. He saw Yi Mo's sword pierce at him from a weird angle. He wasn't some Wang Lenchan. He could tell that this flying sword was controlled by inner qi. There was such a thing in the world? Ren Pingchuan's heart was full of astonishment. He immediately stopped putting qi into the tornado and used it to attack Yi Mo's flying sword instead. Even if Yi Mo were at peak condition, his flying sword still wouldn't be able to hurt Ren Pingchuan, much less when he was at the end of his strength. Ren Pingchuan's inner qi clashed against Yi Mo's flying sword, and he felt a certain very mystical power and control. Eventually, Ren Pingchuan actually closed his eyes as he seemed to have been enlightened. His two hands clashed with Yi Mo's flying sword subconsciously. It was obvious he was learning something from Yi Mo's flying sword. If it weren't for that, perhaps Yi Mo's flying sword would have already simply been grabbed by him. Yi Mo was pushed back by the force even further away and was smashed into a rock wall. Yi Mo felt like his hands were about to break from the force. Despite blocking most of the force, his legs were still forced into a squat. The sound of bones breaking sounded once more. Yi Mo was shocked. He quickly tipped all the lotus life pills he had into his mouth. As soon as he did, his hand broke and the bottle fell on the floor. A few more cracks were audible as Yi Mo's leg broke too, and he fell on the ground. As soon as the lotus life pill repaired Yi Mo's injuries, Yi Mo's bone was crushed again. Yi Mo felt lucky that he had used his flying sword rather early on, and that tornado was at the end of its force. If he hadn't done that, and Ren Pingchuan had kept inserting qi, his hands and feet would have been completely pulverized. Yi Mo looked at his flying sword, and his expression turned very ugly. His flying sword wasn't causing any threat to Ren Pingchuan at all. Instead, he was sitting on the ground with his eyes closed, as though trying to understand something. This old fart. Yi Mo took back his flying sword tied away, but Ren Pingchuan's hands kept moving. Yi Mo was shocked. If Ren Pingchuan reached great heaven from that, he wouldn't be able to live no matter what. Yi Mo wasn't going to let him stay in that enlightened state. He used his flying sword, and it rapidly pierced Ren Pingchuan's shoulder, but Ren Pingchuan still sat there, moving his hands. Suddenly, a strong force erupted from Ren Pingchuan. Yemo was stunned. Ren Pingchuan was beginning to reach great heaven. The force of reaching great heaven was this big, it would seem that Tan Zhao really hadn't been great heaven. Just as Yi Mo wanted to keep using his flying sword to attack, Xiang Mingwang yelled, "Sect leader is about to ascend to a greater boundary. Yi Mo is at his end now. Charge up and kill him." Even if Yi Mo weren't injured, he would have quite some trouble facing this many masters. Yi Mo could tell that these people were stronger than Wang Lenchen's entourage back then. Yi Mo killed 6 earth and black level attackers with his flying sword, but his inner chi and spirit sense depleted rapidly like that. Xiang Mingwang's long sword pierced Yemo's chest. Yi Mo used his chi to accelerate the effect of the lotus life pills, but he was just too heavily injured. Even multiple pills couldn't help him now, and he was only getting more and more wounds. Yi Mo knew that the moment his chi was completely depleted would be the moment he died. The flying sword spent 80% of the time fighting Xiang Mingwang and 20% of the time fighting others. The potency of the pill was getting weaker and weaker. By the time Yi Mo could move one hand, the potency disappeared completely. Despair flashed across Yi Mo's eyes. Was he going to die here? At this moment, Ren Pingchuan suddenly let out a long howl, and huge force erupted from his body. Yi Mo's heart sunk even further. Even if Ren Pingchuan hadn't reached great heaven, he wouldn't be able to run away. Not to mention running away. He couldn't even stand up. Yi Mo considered some things, and suddenly took out a wooden box from his ring before throwing it at Xiang Mingwang. "This is my heritage. Take it." Xiang Mingwang caught it out of reflex, and as he did, Yi Mo immediately said, "Xiang Mingwang, that's a bomb in your hand. Tell your people to stop, or I will detonate it immediately." Yi Mo was holding a controller in his hand. It was the one he got from the Fu brothers. He got the bomb from them too. He didn't know how strong it would be, but it wouldn't be weak. Even if he died, he could drag this entire sect with him, and he wouldn't need to worry about these people going to Flowing Snake. Xiang Mingwang subconsciously looked at the box, and then at Yemo's controller. A few seconds later, he said, "You're an ancient martial artist, yet you use low means like this?" Yi Mo sat on the ground and sneered. "If you dare put it down, I'll detonate it immediately. If you don't believe me, why don't you try me? And since when are ancient martial artists not allowed to use advanced technology?" Xiang Mingwang said calmly, "Yi Mo, if you think a bomb can do anything to me, you're wrong. Even if you have a machine gun, you can't do anything to me. Hand over your actual heritage and controller, and end yourself. I promise I won't look for trouble with your family." Yi Mo really wanted to jeer at him, but the burning feeling from his dantian made him spit blood. He knew that even if Xiang Mingwang didn't do anything, he wouldn't last much longer. Pity his lotus life pills were all used up too. Yi Mo knew that Xiang Mingwang was right. If this was just an average bomb, it would merely injure him, or at most kill only him. At this moment, Yi Mo could only hope this was no ordinary bomb. Xiang Mingwang was about to put the bomb to the side when Yi Mo gave a final warning. "Xiang Mingwang, if you put it down, I will detonate it immediately." Xiang Mingwang was furious, but he didn't dare to not listen to Yi Mo. If this bomb was really not an ordinary one, and he threw it out, the entire sect would be destroyed due to him. At the same time, Yi Mo was trying to gather some of his chi. He only needed a little bit, yet he couldn't do it. "Xiang Mingwang, tell your people to retreat to the door, or I will do it," Yi Mo threatened coolly. Once they retreated to a certain place, he would be able to fly away on the sword. Xiang Mingwang didn't want to do it, but he had no other option. He didn't dare risk himself and the sect. Meanwhile, Run Pingchan's force was getting more and more potent. Yemo was worried. He knew that Ren Pingchuan was about to break through. In his desperation, he bit his tongue and spat out blood, forcefully gathering some qi in the end. Then he summoned his sword under his butt and flew into the sky. Before they realized what was happening, Yi Mo pressed the detonator. He knew that if Ren Pingchuan woke up, he wouldn't be able to run away. Ha ha! I have finally reached great heaven. Before Ren Pingchuan could properly enjoy his success, a huge explosion sounded in the valley. Rumbled the ensuing shocking explosion. An eye-piercing bright light made Yi Mo dizzy. Yi Mo could no longer actively control his sword and fell unconscious on top of it, and the sword plunged into the Lian Song River. On the outskirts of the Nei snow mountains, a woman was climbing them arduously. The woman wore a blue puffer jacket and carried a huge climbing backpack. On the outskirts of the Nei snow mountains, a woman was climbing them arduously. The woman wore a blue puffer jacket and carried a huge climbing backpack. It wasn't the best season for climbing. She was the only one doing it at a time like this. Her hair was messy due to the wind, but her cold expression also showed perseverance, as though she would never give up climbing no matter what. But she also knew that she was still far from the peak. If Yi Mo saw her, he would recognize her as the woman he had saved twice, whose name was Yangzhu. Although she hated Yi Mo, she had to admit that Yi Mo had saved her last night. No matter what, she felt that Yi Mo had some bad intentions towards her. Regardless of whether her instincts were right or not, she left the city that night, but she didn't go back to Beijing. She knew that the one who could protect her, her master Tan Jiao, had entered solitary training once again. Her martial uncle, Luan Qingfeng, hadn't been back for a while due to some incident last time. Even if her master hadn't gone into solitary training, she couldn't rely on him. Ever since her master had come back last time, his attitude towards her had become apathetic. She knew that it was due to Yi Mo, and she needed to walk her future path by herself. Without her master's support, she didn't dare to go back to Beijing with the black, rising pill. Even if the people from the hidden sects didn't do anything to her, she couldn't resist the authorities' children in Beijing. Her master didn't like her, and the Song family was gone. She was a lone wolf now. She wouldn't have imagined that she would happen to see Yi Mo again when she was attacked in Beijing. Hence, she left the ghost city at night and went to the Nei snow mountain. She had come because she was aware that her power was weak. It was no simple feat to kill Yi Mo and get revenge. When she went to the Broken Top Mountain's tomb, she got 3 things. She found a jade slip and a yin-yang fish. Other than that, she also got a map from the 2 tomb raiders. It was obvious the map led to a tomb which was at the Nei snow mountain. If it had been some other time, she wouldn't have cared about it, but what she got from the Broken Top Mountain changed her mind. That night, she had overheard the 2 tomb raiders saying that the tomb belonged to a descendant of Yuan Tiangang. Yuan Tiangang was a mage of the Tang dynasty. It's said that he knew Dao art. If he did, she might be able to get it from the tomb. She couldn't figure anything to do with the fish, but she somehow got an inner qi cultivation method from the jade slip. When Song Yangzhu focused on it, the jade slip turned back to normal. She had thought it was just an illusion, but when she practiced according to the cultivation method, she found that in one night her inner qi had become stronger. This discovery made her very happy. Still, she was disappointed to find out that she couldn't get anything from it when she tried investigating. This made Song Yangzhu more fervent about going to the ancient tomb in the Nei snow mountains. The only thing she was confused about was that she had fallen unconscious in the tomb that day, who had saved her and brought her back. It was stuck in her mind that Song Lian River was very beautiful. When Song Yangzhu got there, she had already forgotten her purpose. She rested at one of the river's branches. The water there seemed a little red. It had the name of the Peacock River. Song Yongju looked into the river and got lost in her thoughts. If she didn't have to take revenge for her family, she could imagine herself going there with the person she loved. Such a pretty place, Song Yongju murmured, and then put down the bag. She decided to stay there for the night and leave the next morning. Song Yongju made a simple tent by the river. Then she walked over to the river to wash her face. She had been on high alert for a few days, and now she could finally relax a little. But when she approached the river, she found a shocking scene. Moments ago there had been nothing there, but now there was a body. Was this person dead or alive? Song Yongju dragged the man to the riverbank, and she realized he was covered in sword wounds. Song Yongju could see that the person was probably an ancient martial arts cultivator. He had probably died from such serious injuries already. Thinking about this, Song Yongju grabbed a branch and flipped the man over. When Yi Mo fell unconscious on the flying sword, he knew it wouldn't end well. Since he didn't have any chi, he didn't manage to stop himself and fell straight into the river. The cold water woke him up briefly. Yi Mo couldn't do anything to heal himself. He couldn't even move. He could only change his breathing into inner breathing, but that would only make him last a few more days. When he was flipped over, he woke up for a brief moment. But he knew that it would only last for a short while. He was soon going to fall unconscious again. "It's you?" Song Yongju looked at Yi Mo dazedly. She wouldn't have expected that the person she had tried to kill with all her might would fall into her hands in that state. Was that the subtle cause and effect that exists in the world? The heavens had given him to her, so she could get revenge. In that moment, Song Yongju pulled out a dagger without hesitation. Yi Mo opened his eyes and found that he actually knew the woman who saved him. It was the cold woman he had saved twice before. Yi Mo opened his eyes and found that he actually knew the woman who saved him. It was the cold woman he had saved twice before. Yi Mo didn't realize that this woman wanted to kill him. After all, she had seemed to merely dislike him, not to the extent where she wanted his life. Perhaps she disliked him due to what happened at the Special Forces barracks. He thought Song Yongju had saved him, and upon seeing her, he felt relieved. Good people got good returns indeed. He saved her twice, and now she saved him. Thinking about this, Yi Mo forced a smile through the pain and said, "It seems I'm quite lucky today." Then Yi Mo closed his eyes and started to heal himself with chi. Without the Lotus Life Pill, he could only rely on himself to heal his injuries by performing inner chi cycles. Hearing these words, Song Yongju was struck. It had been him. It had actually been him. She remembered how that night at the tomb, she was so scared she fainted, but she still had some bit of consciousness left. She vaguely remembered being carried and hearing the words, "I'm in a good mood today. It's your luck. I'll bring you out." When she woke up again, she found herself in her hotel room. She knew that hadn't been a dream, but just didn't know who it was that saved her. The way that man had said lucky was the exact same way as Yi Mo just now. Song Yongju was dazed. She didn't think the person she wanted to kill would turn out to be her two-time savior. Enemy or benefactor? Enemy or benefactor? Song Yongju's hand was shaking. She wasn't sure if she should kill Yi Mo or not now. What should she do? Yi Mo didn't know what Song Yongju was thinking and was fervently healing himself. He didn't expect himself to be wounded so badly this time. Yi Mo knew that his power was at the peak of the outer hidden sex, yet he encountered this hardship. Without some fortune, he wouldn't be able to power up any further. That Rin Pingchuan was really strong, but that bomb was pretty powerful too. Even Rin Pingchuan might not have been able to survive that explosion. It would be best if he died from the blast. Yi Mo was sure that all the other Gourd Cave members were dead. Seeing the unconscious Yi Mo, Song Yongju struggled before praying by the river. Grandpa, Yemo is an enemy of the Song family, but he saved me. I want to kill him, but I really can't kill an unconscious person, someone who has saved me before at that. Grandpa, what should I do? Song Yongju was crying helplessly by the river bank. Yi Mo wasn't completely unconscious, and he heard Song Yongju's words clearly. So she was from the Song family. Yi Mo's heart went cold, and his chi nearly got messed up. He quickly calmed down, but he truly didn't know whether this was fortune or calamity. The only thing he could do for now was to pray for Song Yongju not to kill him. He didn't have a single strand of chi or spirit sense in his current state, but even if he had some, he wouldn't be able to kill Song Yongju because he couldn't move at all. Furthermore, he didn't have his flying sword anymore. Without his flying sword, even if he recovered, his fighting power would be weakened. Song Yongju cried as she picked up the dagger and walked in front of Yi Mo. Yi Mo thought, "Am I not going to escape death after all? Yi Mo, I can distinguish clearly between enmity and kindness. You saved me once, so I won't kill you today. Before, you brought me out of the tomb, and today I pulled you out of the river. Whether or not you can survive is up to you. From now on, we have nothing to do with each other, but the Song family was still destroyed by your hands. The next time I see you, I will kill you to get revenge for my grandpa." Song Yongju's tears kept flowing as she said this. Afterwards, she packed her things and left without turning back. She didn't know whether Yi Mo had been conscious or not. Yi Mo could hear Song Yongju's footsteps get further away and let out a breath. Although he was still in the middle of snowy mountains, and if he wasn't able to recover, he would still die. That was definitely better than being killed right there. And then, in the depth of her heart, Song Yongju hoped Yi Mo would die from his injuries or get eaten by some wild animals, but she stopped herself from thinking about it. Song Lian River got very cold at night. Yi Mo was very grateful that Song Yongju didn't kill him. Who would have thought that someone from the Song family would rescue him? He had made up his mind that next time Song Yongju tried to kill him, he would let her go. He had only killed a couple of the Song family members anyway, since he had let most of them go. Of course, he could do the same for Song Yongju, who had saved him. The main thing with Yi Mo was to never touch his bottom line. If someone did, then Song Yongju or not, he would kill them all the same. Weird sounds were coming from the Peacock River, but Yi Mo didn't mind it and just laid still at the river bank. He was much happier than a few hours ago already. He could properly run meridian cycles with his chi now, which meant that his speed of healing would rapidly increase. It was lucky that he'd eaten that entire bottle of Lotus Life pills. If he hadn't, he would be dead by now. A wild bird flew by Yi Mo and startled him as he was still healing. Yi Mo opened his eyes and found that it was day already. Eyes had formed on his clothes. He struggled around and found that his leg bones had started to heal and his hands could move now. His spirit sense had also recovered quite a bit by then. Yi Mo sighed and took out a few normal pills, quickly eating them. He was slowly beginning to recover. When he could mobilize most of his chi again, he would go back to find his flying sword. Once he did, he would go find some more herbs and concoct more Lotus Life pills. With that, he would heal even faster. After digesting the ordinary pills, Yi Mo knew that it would be useless to eat any more of them. He took out a sword to support himself in getting up. Regardless of whether he had managed to kill everyone at the gourd cave, it wasn't a good idea to keep staying by the river. Yi Mo knew he was even weaker than an ordinary person at the moment, so he wasn't in a rush to find his flying sword. A few hours later, Yi Mo appeared by a rock not far from the river and found a hole to slide into. Afterwards, he blocked the hole and started to recover once more. Meanwhile, tens of kilometers away, Song Yongju was looking for the entrance of the tomb with her map. It took another 2 days. But finally Song Yongju stood at the bottom of the valley, and she was filled with joy. She knew she had found the place that led the tomb. It was only 10 meters away from the bottom of the valley. It took another 2 days, but finally Song Yongju stood at the bottom of the valley, and she was filled with joy. She knew she had found the place that led the tomb. It was only 10 meters away from the bottom of the valley. Song Yongju wanted to find a place to stay for the time being. She was planning to cultivate while digging out the ancient tomb. But in this moment, a voice sounded. Were there people talking in the depth of the snow mountain? Song Yongju looked behind in shock and saw 2 men carrying big bags. They had shotguns in their hands, and they were walking towards her. As they spoke, 2 hunters? What were they doing there? Song Yongju didn't head towards the tomb. She couldn't expose it. When Song Yongju spotted the 2 men, they also saw her. The 2 hunters said something to each other and headed towards her with their guns. When they got close, Song Yongju saw that one of them was a white-skinned foreigner. He had a bulky build. The other man was Chinese. He was very short but sturdy. His face had many scars on it, which made him look very hideous. They were obviously surprised to see Song Yongju there. Who are you? Why are you in the depth of the Nei snow mountains? The short man asked. He was vigilant as the one wrong word, and he would fire. Who are you guys? Song Yongju rested easy. These men were probably really hunters. She could smell the blood in their bags. But Song Yongju couldn't understand why they were all the way there. As though they felt Song Yongju posed no threat, the short man put the gun down and said, I'm Jiang Chuanwu. This is my friend Erickson. We came here for hunting. Hunting? Song Yongju looked at the 2 men with confusion and suddenly said, Did you come to hunt the snow fox? She was more and more certain they had come here to hunt the snow fox. Snow fox fur was very precious, and it was said that only the Nei snow mountains had these animals. These animals were not only nationally protected, but also internationally. Jiang Chuanwu's expression didn't look good, but he still said, Are they that easy to find? We just came here to hunt some regular animals. Song Yongju didn't continue asking. It didn't concern her. It was good as long as they didn't come for the tomb. What are you here for? Jiang Chuanwu looked at Song Yongju confused. She was that pretty and young, yet she was alone in the depths of the snow mountain. It seemed eerie. I'm just hiking, but I got lost. She could no longer be bothered to talk to the 2 hunters, so she turned around and walked away. With them there, she couldn't dig the tomb. She had to wait until they left before she could. Jiang Chuanwu turned to the foreigner and said, Erickson, do you believe her? The tall, white guy looked at Jiang Sihuanwu and smiled. Mr. Chuanwu, the woman is really pretty. Hearing this, Jiang Sihuanwu thought about it and wanted to say something, but Erickson continued. Mr. Chuanwu, we've been in this place for half a month, but we still haven't seen any snow foxes. I don't think it's worth it if we continue like this. Jiang Chuanwu immediately knew what he meant. He was hired by Erickson. If they found the fox, he would get a large sum of money. If not, he would just be a tour guide. He knew that Erickson wanted the woman, but he had his concerns. A young, beautiful woman that dared to venture the depths of this mountain. He couldn't believe that she didn't have the means to protect herself. Mr. Erickson, she's no regular woman if she can wander in the depths of this mountain. There are many capable people in China. If she has an important background, then we dash, Jiang Chuanwu said worriedly. Erickson smiled. We'd be sent to jail for poaching snow foxes. Now that she knows our purpose, if she reports us, then we would dash. He didn't finish the sentence. Jiang Chuanwu knew what Erickson meant. He also longed for women, but he had heard about ancient martial arts, and he knew there were a lot of masters. She might be one, since she dared to venture there herself. Erickson waved a pouch and said, I know what you're worrying about, but this scent can make people weak, even lose their mind. Jiang Chuanwu was shook and cursed. That guy had such thing. If he used it on him, he would be dead meat. It seemed that he needed to be warier of him. Although he had these thoughts, Jiang Chuanwu didn't show it, and smiled. That thing is not bad, but if we smelled it too, wouldn't we be also disabled? Don't worry, I have the cure for it here. Erickson took out a green capsule and gave it to Jiang Chuanwu. Seeing this, Erickson smiled and said, Mr. Chuanwu, I can let you go on that woman first. Hearing this, Jiang Chuanwu thought carefully. Was Erickson really that nice? It wasn't like his cunning nature. Thinking about this, Jiang Chuanwu became even warier. Seeing this, Erickson quickly said, Mr. Chuanwu, don't misunderstand me. I also have some conditions. I brought the scent and the cure. If you go on her, first, you must give me the short sword you found. Hearing this, Jiang Chuanwu took out a short sword from his bag and said strangely, You want the short sword? He had found it by the river yesterday. He didn't understand why Erickson wanted that normal-looking sword. Yes, Erickson said excitedly, and even reached his hand to grab it. Jiang Chuanwu put the sword away and said casually, Mr. Erickson, we don't even have her yet. No need to rush. Oh, right. Yeah. Erickson rubbed his hands. Song Yangzhu found a place to shelter from the wind and cleaned it before setting up her tent. Just when she finished setting up the tent, the two men were approaching it. Song Yangzhu immediately became vigilant. She didn't want to talk to them. Why were they here? What Song Yangzhu didn't expect was that they set their tents near hers. Song Yangzhu frowned. She decided to pack up her tent and leave. She wasn't a very feisty person, but if they followed her again, they couldn't blame her for her actions. Before she came out, the man called Jiang Chuanwu came over and stood at the door saying, Young girl, help us. There are a lot of beasts around the snow mountain. It'll be safer if we stay together. We've made roasted rabbit meat. Let's eat together. Song Yangzhu said with a cold face, No need. I don't like living with strangers. Since you guys like it here, I'll move away. Hi, I'm Erickson. Nice to meet you. Erickson approached her politely and reached out his hand. Song Yangzhu's face was cold, as though she hadn't seen his hand. Erickson took back his hand awkwardly and passed over a cigarette to Jiang Chuanwu before lighting up his own. Piss off. The two had dared smoke in front of her tent and make all the smoke go inside. Song Yangzhu couldn't endure any longer and decided to give those two a lesson. Piss off. The two had dared smoke in front of her tent and make all the smoke go inside. Song Yangzhu couldn't endure any longer and decided to give those two a lesson. Jiang Chuanwu suddenly spat the smoke onto Song Yangzhu's face and creepily muttered, Young girl, in the depths of this barren mountain, wouldn't it be good if we accompanied each other? It'll be warm. Killing intent flashed across Song Yangzhu's eyes. Just because she had never killed before didn't mean she wasn't able to. Song Yangzhu kicked out, sending Jiang Chuanwu flying tens of meters away. He couldn't crawl up from the ground for a long time. Then Song Yangzhu kicked Erickson the same way, and he flew far away, harshly landing next to Jiang Chuanwu. As soon as she did that, she felt something wasn't right. She felt weak and extremely lustful. Song Yangzhu immediately realized that there must have been something fishy about that smoke, but she didn't even have the strength to step on the cigarette to put it out. Didn't you promise the smoke dash? Jiang Chuanwu didn't finish complaining because he saw Yangzhu stumbling. Hee, this is made from authentic African red snake grass. No matter how conservative she is, she won't be able to control herself. Erickson smiled and rubbed his waist, crawling up slowly. This woman is really frightening, though. Her kick was too powerful. Jiang Chuanwu also felt fear. If it hadn't been for the smoke, the two of them combined would have been no match for this woman. Yi Mo stood up. After a day of recovery, his outer wounds had disappeared, and his bones had healed. Even his spirit sense had recovered by half. His chi, however, had only recovered less than 1%. Yi Mo knew that that was due to his injured dantian. If he wanted to recover all of his chi, he had to heal his dantian first. But he knew that without the Lotus Life Pill, it wouldn't be easy to recover his dantian. If it wasn't for his flying sword, he would want to leave this place already. He was sure that no one else other than Xiang Mingwang and Ren Pingchuan could have survived the blast. Xiang Mingwang was even most likely dead, as he had been the one holding on to the bomb. The only one Yi Mo was worried about was Ren Pingchuan. If Ren Pingchuan wasn't dead, then Yi Mo would be if he met him again. But no matter how badly he wanted to leave, he needed his flying sword. Without it, he couldn't escape these mountains. His flying sword was also very precious. It would be far too difficult to find enough materials to make another one. Yi Mo looked for many hours by the river, but didn't find anything. He was lacking in chi and felt tired quickly. A white animal passed by Yi Mo's eyes rapidly, so fast that Yi Mo almost didn't notice it. Such a pretty thing. Yi Mo's spirit sense immediately noticed that it was a fox. He knew that these things were very rare on Earth, especially such a beautiful white one. Yi Mo immediately took a liking to it. He thought that since Qingxue had silver, if he gave this fox to Luo Ying, she would be very happy. Thinking like that, Yi Mo followed after the cute creature. As though sensing that Yi Mo was chasing it, it ran faster. If Yi Mo had his flying sword or his chi, it really wouldn't take long for him to catch it. But now, he was only a little stronger than a normal person. He ran for a couple of hours and didn't even realize he had entered the inner parts of the snow mountain. When Yi Mo was puffing heavily and close to losing his breath, he finally almost caught up to the fox. Just as Yi Mo was about to catch the fox, he stopped himself. He had sensed his flying sword this deep into the mountains. His flying sword clearly fell by the river. Why would it be here? No matter what, since his flying sword was here, Yi Mo had to go. Yi Mo released his spirit sense to the maximum and ran towards it. The fox saw that Yi Mo stopped chasing it, so it halted too and stared at Yi Mo's back. Song Yangzhu felt as if her body were jelly, and it didn't take her long to realize that she was in trouble. She regretted merely kicking the two away instead of killing them. Seeing Jiang Chuanwu and Erickson slowly creep over, Song Yangzhu began to worry. Her heart sunk to the bottom. She knew that if the two came to her tent, it would be over for her. Song Yangzhu wanted to force out the mist from her body, but she couldn't. Jiang Chuanwu took out the sword and dumped it over to Erickson. "This is yours. I'll be going on her first." Erickson smiled and didn't pay Jiang Chuanwu any heed. He focused on the short sword and sliced it at some rock. The rock was sliced in half like tofu. Erickson was shocked. To him, women were something he could get anywhere, but he had never encountered such a powerful sword before. Was this one of the 10 great swords of China or something? Even if he didn't get the snow fox fur, he'd earned big this time. But that Jiang Chuanwu, the idiot, actually gave it to him. Seeing Jiang Chuanwu walk over, Song Yangzhu was shaking. "If you had just cooperated, things would have been great. I won't be the only one feeling pleasure here. You're not really losing out. Why are you so serious?" Jiang Chuanwu put out his hand as he spoke casually. "Animal, if you dare come over, I will kill you." Song Yangzhu yelled. She truly wanted to kill him, but she was completely powerless. Hearing this, Jiang Chuanwu laughed. "You dare threaten me? How about I kill you after King you, B Tsich." Although Jiang Chuanwu was only threatening her now, he did have thoughts of killing her. She had been able to kick the both of them that far with one kick. He didn't dare to let her live. As Song Yangzhu was falling more and more into despair, she suddenly felt some strength return to her. She rejoiced and wanted to take out her sword, but before she could, she felt a sudden intense desire in her heart. That lust made her feel very shameless. In the meantime, Jiang Chuanwu had taken off his top and was depravedly walking up to her. Song Yangzhu's eyes were red, and her skin was shivering. She was finally able to gather up some strength to resist it for some reason. Soon you'll understand how good it is. Jiang Chuanwu grabbed her shoulder and helped her take off her clothes. Song Yangzhu bit the tip of her tongue to cling on to the little inkling of reason she had left and kicked Jiang Chuanwu in the stomach, and he flew out of the tent again. Immediately after, though, she sunk into deep desire and started ripping off her clothes. Erickson dashed. Just when Jiang Chuanwu wanted to reproach Erickson for the weakness of his mispoison, he saw Song Yangzhu take off her clothes in a frenzy and took back his words. From Song Yangzhu's resistance, Jiang Chuanwu knew that the mist was indeed very potent, but that Song Yangzhu's will was simply very strong as well. It seemed that after this was over, he needed to get some from Erickson. With such a fearsome poison, what woman couldn't he get? Hearing the call, Erickson said slowly, "Hurry up and do your business. That mist is very strong. If you leave her untouched for too long, she'll go crazy." Jiang Chuanwu could no longer hold himself back and took off the rest of his clothes as he charged over to the tent. Yi Mo happened to walk into the valley, right on time to witness Jiang Chuanwu rushing into the cave. What shocked him especially was that Song Yangzhu seemed to be ripping off her clothes. Yi Mo couldn't help but sigh. This world was really small. Yi Mo immediately knew that Song Yangzhu had to have been drugged. He couldn't let this go, especially since Song Yangzhu had saved him before. Yi Mo let out a sneer. Great, abusing women in the depths of a mountain. Huh? Jiang Chuanwu heard it and quickly stopped. He saw Yi Mo walk over, and he reacted quickly, calling out, "Erickson, kill this guy! Quick!" Yi Mo saw the flying sword in Erickson's hand as he was putting it down to take out his gun. Yi Mo laughed at the irony and manipulated his flying sword to slit Erickson's throat in an arc. Blood splashed. A few seconds later, Erickson's headless body dropped on the ground. Blood splashed. A few seconds later, Erickson's headless body dropped on the ground. Jiang Chuanwu stared at the head rolling far away. He didn't know how that young man had killed Erickson. They were clearly so far apart. He even forgot to beg for mercy. Yi Mo was tired, however. He had very little qi and had chased the fox for quite a long while. "Big brother, you can have that woman for Jiang Chuanwu finally reacted, but before he said anything else, Yi Mo's flying sword pierced his neck. That day at the break of dawn, two heads rolled to each other. Yi Mo wanted to use a fireball to burn them both, but he really felt his qi wasn't enough. When he saw that Song Yangzhu was almost in a frenzy, Yi Mo didn't dare waste time and quickly made his way over. He went into the tent, wanting to use acupuncture to force the poison out, but Song Yangzhu had already charged at him and put her arms around him. She started to pull Yi Mo's clothes. Yi Mo sighed, but he didn't push her away. He used a golden needle to pierce into a chakra point. As soon as he did, Yi Mo's expression changed. He just realized he was out of qi. How was he going to force the poison out? Song Yangzhu was obviously poisoned by some extremely strong aphrodisiac. She wasn't going to last much longer. Yi Mo was angry. Those two men were too vicious. However, he was out of qi, and he couldn't cure her. Even if he did that with Song Yangzhu, it might not go away completely. But if he didn't do it, Song Yangzhu would immediately be in danger. But in the case that only a little bit of poison were left, as long as she didn't lose her mind, she could force it out herself with her yellow level peak power. Just when Yi Mo was deciding on what to do, his top got torn. Yi Mo only had a thin shirt on him. Now that it was torn off, Song Yangzhu's burning body touched his. Yi Mo, who had never had sex before, immediately felt hot. He had many mind-calming chants, but they required qi to use. How could Yi Mo, who was depleted of qi, resist against this attack? Although Yi Mo had the power to push her away, she was in danger indeed, and his heart was already aroused by Song Yangzhu. He didn't want to push her away. He even pulled out the golden needle. Yi Mo felt guilty about Ning Qingxue and Luo Ying, but he could only lie and convince himself that Song Yangzhu had saved him before. He knew it was an excuse, but he still used it to comfort himself. Rumble when Song Yangzhu's hand grabbed his private area. Yi Mo couldn't think about anything else. He was drowned by Song Yangzhu's fire. He could no longer care about anything else as he grabbed the feeble Song Yangzhu. They were both noobs, but they didn't need anyone to teach them. They just had to follow their instinct. Despite not touching anything with his hands, Yi Mo felt the lustful fire. When he was enveloped by her warmth, he subconsciously made an animal-like growl. He lost himself for a brief moment. Song Yangzhu clumsily rode on him, and the pain briefly woke her up. It was her first time, but the pain wasn't just physical, it was also mental. She woke up, saw Yi Mo, and suddenly started crying. She wanted to stop herself, but she was soon engulfed by that desire again. She had forgotten everything. Yi Mo grabbed Song Yangzhu. Even if he lost his first time to that woman, he didn't want to be the passive one. He started taking the active role, and he placed her on top of the clothes in the ground. With her clumsy welcoming, he had forgotten who was under him, but lust eventually faded. When Song Yangzhu felt some sort of hot liquid, she opened her eyes. Yi Mo stopped moving and stared at Song Yangzhu, who stared at him back. Yi Mo felt his face was burning, like a little kid found doing something wrong. He didn't dare move. Song Yangzhu's face was numb, her eyes were numb. She didn't move at all. When Yi Mo saw her face, he got anxious. He had never experienced that before. He had thought countless times of him being with Luo Ying and Ning Qingxue, sometimes even at the same time, but he had never thought of being with another woman, especially one that was from his enemy's family. Yi Mo didn't know what to say, so the two of them just looked at each other for tens of seconds. Song Yangzhu's eyes got misty and tears trickled down her eyes incessantly. She pushed Yi Mo away. He felt her hands were shaking very hard. Yi Mo didn't know what to say to comfort her. "I did this to save you?" Song Yangzhu struggled to stand up and took a towel from her bag to wipe the blood on her leg. Then she slowly put on her clothes and packed her things. She just walked outside with that big bag of hers, not even taking the tent. From beginning to the end, she didn't say anything to Yi Mo, and he didn't know what to say either. After Song Yangzhu walked outside, Yi Mo slapped his head, packed everything up, including her tent, and chased her. Although he didn't love Song Yangzhu and she was her enemy, that woman was still his first one. Yi Mo was an emotional person, and he couldn't just do nothing about it. "Don't come over." Song Yangzhu looked back at Yi Mo with madness in her eyes. Her voice was a little cracked. Yi Mo believed that if he went to her, she might even try to kill him at all costs. Despite having his flying sword, he only had a bit of qi, hence Song Yangzhu might be able to kill him. Yi Mo sighed and threw her tent on the ground. "This is yours." Song Yangzhu picked it up silently. The madness in her eyes had become dejection. Then she slowly turned away and left. The moon appeared, and its moonlight was reflected on the snow mountain, lighting up the area with a smooth, pale light. Song Yangzhu's figure disappeared from Yi Mo's sight, but he still stood in the same place without moving for a long time. He didn't know how to feel. Was he wrong? Had he become soft? Yi Mo frowned. In the cultivation realm, power was everything, and so was there. If he hadn't had power, he would have been killed long ago. The Song family wanted him dead, so why couldn't he kill them? How could he doubt his heart because of something like this? Cultivation was to pursue the great Tao that went against the heavens. If he couldn't even control his heart, how could he reach the pinnacle of power? Thinking about this, Yi Mo opened up. Even the confusion towards Song Yangju disappeared. He stood there and howled. He felt his wounds recovering a little. He was sure that once he fully recovered, his state would increase a step too. Song Yangju heard it and paused for a moment. After Yi Mo's howl finished, she kept going. A white fox was hiding in a corner of the valley, and when she heard Yi Mo's howl, she carefully peeked out and stared at Yi Mo. Yi Mo turned back and saw that fox again, which was a bit strange in his opinion. It had managed to not be caught by him during the day, so why did it come back? Was it not afraid of being caught by him? Yi Mo turned back and saw that fox again, which was a bit strange in his opinion. It had managed to not be caught by him during the day, so why did it come back? Was it not afraid of being caught by him? The small fox saw that Yi Mo had noticed it and turned to run. Yi Mo smiled and didn't bother chasing the fox, instead walking into the remaining tent to recover. He had had some enlightenment just then, so it would be good to use the opportunity to cultivate. Meanwhile, Song Yangju had returned to the tomb she had been planning on digging through during the day. She didn't know what she should do now. Should she keep digging the tomb to find a way to get stronger and kill Yi Mo, or should she not kill him? She knew that Yi Mo had saved her, but she couldn't bear being saved by an enemy again and again, even losing her virginity to him. Song Yangju's heart was in turmoil. If she were to give up on getting revenge from Yi Mo, she would lose all direction in life. If her master was still the same to her as before, perhaps she could go back and cultivate. But after her master had distanced himself from her, her only motivation had been revenge. Yet now, that motivation had been blurred. Song Yangju didn't continue cultivating, nor did she eat the black rising pill. She didn't want to think about Yi Mo, and would rather nothing had happened. She could only bury the memories in the depth of her heart, never to remember them again. She even hoped that she would never have to see Yi Mo again. Song Yangju sat by the tomb for a long time before starting to dig. In the end, she realized that she didn't know what to do, nor where to go other than doing what she had planned at the tomb site anyway. As though not knowing fatigue, she dug for 2 hours straight before eventually stopping because she stumbled upon a random passage. Someone must have dug a passage here, but due to a collapse, the entrance had been blocked. Song Yangju crawled into the tunnel with great care. After all, she had never raided a tomb before, nor did she know anything about checking oxygen and stuff. Luckily, she did know that ancient tombs had some danger to them. She had experienced some of that danger before, so she had brought a long sword with her. The tomb was dim and seemed to stretch on forever. Song Yangju wore a mining torch on her head, but with the small amount of light it provided, the bleak tunnel seemed kind of eerie. Song Yangju felt goosebumps. This was clearly a tunnel deep inside the mountains, yet she could feel wind. The bleak wind made her shiver. She suddenly stopped and thought, what am I still doing here? Was she really going to get stronger to kill Yi Mo? Could she truly do it when she saw him? Song Yangju didn't dare think about it anymore. She felt that after the events of last night, Yi Mo's position in her heart had changed. She tried to avoid him, but she couldn't help feeling her killing intent towards him seemingly decline. She should just leave and find some place to live the rest of her life. She didn't want to see him ever again, nor anyone else she knew. But before Song Yangju could turn around and depart, she felt a sudden coldness from behind her and swung her sword back subconsciously. There was an almost indistinguishable shriek, and Song Yangju was scared into sweat. She was sure that her long sword had cut something. There was a huge rumble, and Song Yangju sensed the tunnel behind her collapse. Song Yangju was shook and quickly took out a shovel to dig. But before she could start, she felt that coldness behind her back again. Song Yangju dropped the shovel and slashed backwards once more. The frigid feeling disappeared, but Song Yangju didn't dare to start digging again. She felt as though that thing would try to scratch her as soon as she turned around. And this was a danger she could see nor sense. Song Yangju gazed into the tunnel and saw nothing special. She carefully picked up her shovel again, but before she could apply force, it actually broke. Song Yangju looked dumbly at this very high-quality shovel. She didn't know why it could possibly break. Were there really ghosts? Even though she was at the peak of the yellow level, Song Yangju still felt scared. She thought of the ghost she saw back at Broken Top Mountain. After standing still for a long while, Song Yangju felt a little sleepy. She bit the tip of her tongue and remembered that this place had to be lacking in oxygen since the tunnel collapsed. Was she going to die here? Why should she be afraid of death? Song Yangju thought, what would be the point to living anyway? Suddenly, she didn't want to dig anymore, and she brought her long sword along as she walked deeper into the tunnel. It was as though the thing was scared of Song Yangju's sword, because Song Yangju walked for a long while without being attacked. As she walked along the path, Song Yangju saw a faint, harmonious light emanate from somewhere. Had she walked out already? Song Yangju sped up. Even if she was going to die, she didn't want to die in a dark tomb like this. Seeing the source of the light, Song Yangju was stunned. From her birth till now, she had only ever heard of luminous pearls in fairy tales, yet now she was actually seeing 8 of them. They were all embedded in the stone door, giving the tomb a royal feeling to it. 2 sets of bones laid together in front of the door, along with some scattered arrows. Song Yangju dazedly walked to the door and pushed it open. When Yemo woke up, it was already daylight. His chi had recovered a bit more, and although he couldn't leave on his flying sword yet, he would be able to in a few days at this rate. He shot out a few fireballs and burned the tents and the bodies before walking out of this silent valley. Although he didn't know what Song Yangju was doing here, since she'd left already, he didn't need to think about it. Even though Yi Mo was also embarrassed at the incident, he didn't feel regret. If he hadn't done what he did, Song Yangju might have gone mad. And since she chose to leave, so be it. Seeing how he was already in the NEI snow mountains anyway, Yi Mo thought for a bit and decided to go check where the tomb the Fu brothers had mentioned was at. When he took out the map, he was dazed. Were there such coincidences in the world? He was standing precisely on top of the tomb. If it were somewhere else, he would go after getting fully healed, but now that it was right under him, it would be a waste if he didn't check it out. Yi Mo walked along the foot of the mountains for a bit, and stopped when he saw a tunnel which seemed rather freshly made. Was it this type of coincidence again? He just found the place, and someone had gone in already? Wait Yi Mo thought of Song Yangju. She was the only who had been nearby yesterday. What was she doing here? Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense in, and his face changed when he noticed the state of the tomb. The newly dug tunnel had collapsed. If Song Yangju was in there, wouldn't she be buried alive? Although Yi Mo's chi had only recovered a bit, he dug much faster than Song Yangju. In less than an hour, he made it into the tunnel. Yi Mo had heard that this tomb seemed to have some ghost that scratches backs. But in front of Yi Mo, it was just a measly little ghost. It didn't dare near even those who didn't cultivate yet had strong yen chi, much less proper cultivators. Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense in the tunnel and immediately saw a ghost in a corner. If he went in there alone, he wouldn't care about a ghost that wasn't going to attack him. But Song Yangju had gone in not long ago. The ghost might have attacked her. Yi Mo scanned his spirit sense in the tunnel and immediately saw a ghost in a corner. If he went in there alone, he wouldn't care about a ghost that wasn't going to attack him. But Song Yangju had gone in not long ago. The ghost might have attacked her. With these thoughts, Yi Mo threw a fireball casually. The ghost immediately vanished, and the tunnel seemed less cold. Yi Mo walked through the cave very fast. After a while, he saw a stone door with luminous pearls on it. There were 2 bodies next to it. Something wasn't right. Yi Mo remembered that the Fu brothers had said there were 9 pearls, but he could only find 8 there. Also, at the time they had said that other than the 2 bodies, they also had someone killed with arrows. How come he didn't see that body? Yi Mo didn't mind that. He cared about where Song Yangzhu had gone. How come he couldn't see her inside the tunnel? Yi Mo knew that the stone door could shoot arrows, so he threw a rock at it, but no arrows were shot. Had all the arrows been used up? Regardless, Yi Mo took out the 8 luminous pearls. They were worth a fortune. He wasn't going to leave them for someone else. After that, Yi Mo approached the stone door. He was going to break it apart with his flying sword, but when he pushed the door lightly, it actually opened up itself. Yi Mo walked inside and found that he was standing on a platform with a circumference of 1 meter. Outside the platform, there was a deep abyss. Luckily, there was a stairway that led downstairs in the center of the platform. Just when Yi Mo decided to go down, the stone door behind him closed. Yi Mo turned around and tried pushing the door. Nothing happened, as though the stone door had been locked. Yi Mo was angry. He had gotten tricked to go inside, and the door just closed on him. Without thinking, Yi Mo took out his flying sword and tried to hack the door off, but his flying sword only got to cut 15 centimeters. He then realized that it wasn't a stone door, but a 30 cm thick steel board. The steel board was covered in 15 centimeters of thick granite on both sides. If it was someone else, no one would be able to dig through the door in their lifetime. But it was Yi Mo. He used his flying sword and dug out a big hole in the door. Looking at it, Yi Mo felt satisfied. Probably. Not even the guy who designed the door could have predicted that someone could dig out such a big hole in such a short time. Then, Yi Mo walked down the stairs and kept his spirit sense out. After Yi Mo had walked 100 meters or so, he saw Song Yangzhu. Song Yangzhu was at the bottom of the valley in the middle of an underground river. Her situation didn't look good. Her face was pale, and she stood on a rock in the middle of the river. She waved her sword in all directions, but there was nothing around her. Yi Mo charged down the stairs without hesitation and threw a wooden board into the river. Then he stood on it and went towards Song Yangzhu. But as soon as he did, suddenly countless strange black heads appeared around the board. These heads were trying to bite the wooden board. Some even tried to bite Yi Mo's feet. There was a foul stench coming out of their huge mouths with sharp, crooked teeth. Yi Mo was shocked. He had never seen such disgusting fish. They had sharp teeth and crooked scales. Moreover, there was a strange liquid between the scales that made them look very disgusting and ugly. Yi Mo quickly took out his long sword and hacked them. Foul, stanching blood was splashed into the river, and the dead ones were soon devoured by the surrounding fish. Despite so, more and more of them kept appearing. The wooden board underneath him disappeared. Hence Yi Mo quickly jumped and landed on the rock Song Yangzhu was at. Even if those fish couldn't do anything to him, he didn't want to touch them, but especially not since they didn't look herbivorous. If he fell in the river, he would die for sure. Song Yangzhu had already lost the bag, and she has just kept hacking with her sword randomly, without noticing in any way that Yi Mo was next to her. She even stabbed him. Yi Mo seized her, and he immediately felt a bleak chi inside her body. It was because she had encountered the ghost. So after Yi Mo eradicated the bleak chi, Song Yangzhu calmed down. Although she had lost her torch, Yi Mo's familiar smell made her stop resisting. She sunk into silence. She didn't know how Yi Mo had gotten there as well. Before Yi Mo could talk, even more and more of those fish came to them, as though they were attracted by the smell of blood. Yi Mo took out one of the luminous pearl, and Song Yangzhu at once managed to see her surroundings. She got so scared that she screamed. When she encountered ghosts, or when Yi Mo took her virginity, she didn't scream, But when she saw those ugly fish, she couldn't resist the fear in her heart and screamed. The rock was too small and the water seemed to be rising, and neither Yi Mo nor Song Yongju wanted to fall in the river. Yi Mo would rather encounter 1,000 ghosts than face the fish. But Yi Mo couldn't use his flying sword there. He needed to think of a way to escape. Yi Mo sliced with his sword tens of fish that were instantly killed. Before more fish could charge at them again, Yi Mo gave a luminous pearl to Song Yongju and said, "I'll send you up first in a bit. As soon as you get out, leave immediately." "Then you would dash," Song Yongju murmured subconsciously. "You go first, I'll come up soon." Then Yi Mo grabbed Song Yongju and threw her onto the stairs perfectly. Yi Mo kept killing the fish. He didn't have a better way to leave the river. He still had the wooden board, but there were countless more fish than before. Song Yongju stood on the stairs and looked dazedly at Yi Mo fighting on the river. His image got blurred under the dim light. Just when Yi Mo was trying to figure out how to get out of there, he realized something scarier. The fish could only stretch out their heads before, but now, after eating their own kind, they had started to grow legs and could slowly crawl onto the rock. Yi Mo felt goosebumps as he wondered whether he should use his flying sword. If his chi wasn't enough, he would fall into the river, and he would be finished. The fish reminded him of the insects in the desert. They had also become stronger after eating their own kind. What were they? "What are you still standing there for?" Yi Mo saw that Song Yongju was dumbfounded on the stairway, and he couldn't help but yelling that. What was she doing? "You dash." Song Yongju also got angry, but then she saw the fish slowly crawling up and felt extremely disgusted. She would rather die than see those fish again. Song Yongju turned away and left. When she reached the door, she saw the huge hole. She realized that it must have been made by Yi Mo, and she turned back to look at him. Rumbled dirt started to fall, and the stone door also seemed to be falling apart. If she stayed there a bit longer, she would be covered in earth. Song Yongju subconsciously ran forward as rocks, and earth started to fall from everywhere. When she got outside, there was a larger rumble. The tomb was collapsing. The entire snow mountain seemed to be shaking. When Song Yongju got to a safe distance, she rejoiced. If she had been a little slower, she would have been buried alive. But then moments later, she was dazed. Where was Yi Mo? Yi Mo had saved her, but he hadn't made it out himself. Song Yongju's mind went blank. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.